X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your things now. Show you how.
Well, well, well. Look at this. Hello, everybody. I have returned. I've returned to you all. Oh, wait, I just realized I gotta make the chat come back. And the dono goal and everything. There we go. I was doing off-stream segments, you guys understand. I am back. And I have a brand new setup. It has been a long and tumultuous journey to get to where I am now. But I will tell you all the story, alright? As many of you guys have probably noticed... Actually, you know what, first, I'm gonna blue ball you guys on this story just a small amount. Because people are still arriving and I don't want to tell the story before everyone has gotten a chance to hear it. So first, welcome everyone. Beta Leafy, Somniostatic, good to see you. Coin Dog, hello. Cleaver120, what's up? Rob36, hello. Sophie, what's up? Did I already say hello to you? Did I? No, I didn't. Good. All right. I was thinking I might have. Dank Catlord, what's up? Quidjman, hello. Hakon, hey, what's going on? CO Vixen Speaks, what's going on? Rotten Apples, hey. Cryptid T, good to see you. Apillo, what's up? J-Spoon, how are you? Dejaro, good to see you again. Oh, so many regulars in chat. Oh, I've missed so many of you guys. Not all of you, but many of you. I'll leave you all to discuss who I missed and who I did not. Oh. Holy crap, chat. I just cracked the hell out of my back and it felt transcendent. Transcendent. It's been a little while, guys. You continue to ignore white names? Yeah, I do. White names don't exist, except for whenever I answer that question about white names. There's gonna be a Red Dead Redemption 2 event in Tombstone, Arizona? Cool! That sounds awesome. Alright. I think we got enough people here now that I can start off with telling you all... Actually, maybe I should start by reading donos, because you guys have been very generously donating even before I went live. And, like, while I've been not streaming, so I feel like I should go and read those first. Then I'll tell you all where I have been and the trials that it has taken to get to where I am now. Alright. Cobalt Swiftpaw, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to BT Screaming. I really appreciate that. And added a YouTube video. That was 15 days ago. We don't have time for YouTube videos now because we got a lot of stuff to cover today. A lot of stuff to cover, but I really appreciate the donation. Thank you. Hopefully you're here to hear me thank you. There we go. Got it. Flawless victory. Sammy Depresso, thank you for the 2 tier 1 gifted subs, gifted to Hemorrhoid King and Grilled Gecko. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too. Did you see the press secretary called Michael Knowles out? Let me see this. That is a little interesting. Well, that was him coping like 15 days ago. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you, Sammy Depresso. That's very kind of you. Heavy Gretel, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. You didn't say anything, but that's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Cheesy Rice, thank you for the $25. That's very nice of you. That was a week ago. Says, it ain't much, but I hope it helps you find a new place. It really does, well, really did help. Thank you. I really appreciate it. J Spoon, thank you for the $20 donation. I really appreciate it. I feel like I say the same thing every time, but that is how I thank people. I don't know. That's just like the go-to thing I say. I don't know. That's very kind of you. Thank you, J Spoon. Gifted $20. Said, sorry to hear about your rental situation. Hope you find an advantageous situation out of it. And that is exactly what we did. Thank you, J Spoon. I really appreciate it. Winby, thank you for the tier 2 sub. am I going to say I really appreciate it again? I think I am. I really appreciate it, Winby. Said, I need to change my name from BZ. I hope you can get your situation fixed. Soon. Hug, miss you, buddy. I missed all of you guys, too. Thank you so much for the kind support. Y'all are amazing. Weak Keeper, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Says, cheers from Austria. Cheers from America. Thank you. Angel Brat 87. What? Hold on. There we go. Angel Brat 87, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Didn't say anything, but I really appreciate it. That was 5 days ago. Midnight Kitty Boy, thank you for the this is now we're now starting today's on-stream and pre-stream donos. So we're going to start off with Midnight Kitty Boy. Thank you for the $50 donation. That is huge. Thank you very much. Said, welcome back, Zan. Let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. Absolutely. Welcome back to all of you as well. Thank you so much for the $50. Dark Excalibur 42, thank you for the tier 1 gift us up to Punk Corpse. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you for the $5. Very, very pog. And J Spoon, thank you for the tier 1 sub. That's a very kind $5 from you as well. I really appreciate it. Crafter Lula, thank you for the tier 3 sub. You guys aren't even adding messages with these. Thank you so much. Crafter Lula, if you're here, how many months was that? Was that just a 1 month or a 3 month? I don't want to undercredit you if it was a 3-monther. But regardless, thank you so much. Whew. That is extremely, extremely supportive. 1 month? Thank you. I really appreciate it. That is $20 Adinos. A very generous dono. Thank you very much. Colt Anderson, thank you for the $5 donation. Very kind of you. Said, I've been waiting to give you money. Now take it. I really appreciate it. Thank you. CO Vixen Speaks, thank you for the $5 donation, or the tier 1 sub, also a $5 donation. I really appreciate it. Didn't say anything, but I know what you meant when you did that. I know what you meant by that. Cute Blue Zombie, thank you for the extremely kind $10 donation. Said, glad you're back, Zan. Been worried about ya. Glad things are looking a bit better now. They certainly are, and I really appreciate your concern, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Cute Blue Zombie. Thank you for the $10. And Beta Leafy, thank you for the $5 donation. Said, I've been through a lot of stuff the past week. I'm glad I could get to see a stream since these helped me escape. Also, my record came today. Your record? Like a record you ordered? Like a record disc? You ordered one and it came? That's awesome. Well, I'm really glad to know that, you know, you've got my stream to help you through some hard times, and I really hope those hard times end. Believe me, it gets better. It does. It does get better. But thank you so much, Beta Leafy. I really appreciate the $5. And Avalon of Babylon, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Spapez. That's very kind of you. Thank you for the $5. Said, hey Zan, so glad Vosh let you move into the piss closet. Looks roomy. Yeah, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. It's true. You might see him walk in every once in a while to go piss. It's true. Thank you for the $5. I really appreciate it. Mistress Lynn, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. That's so kind of you. Thank you for the $25. That is really, really generous, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure that insert creative user, Pesky, Mr. E, Benayaneh, and Megamania all appreciate it too. Says, I missed you, Zan. Heart, socialism and white name genocide, just like peanut butter and chocolate. Nom. Yeah, they do go together just that well, you know, like peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and chocolate, Nutella and bread, whatever it may be. Thank you, Mistress Len. That was very, very kind of you and very, very, very helpful. So as you guys know, we are currently grinding. We are currently on that grind to save up money for me to rent a long-term house where I can start doing the Quail arc. So I appreciate all of your support because that is where it is going. Oh, I also want to say 3 days ago, Hunting Mothman, thank you for the buying a Xanderhall mug. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have merchandise that you guys can buy. There's a link to see the store in the description of the stream on YouTube. And yeah, I have pretty reasonably priced merchandise. So Hunting Mothman, thank you for buying a Xanderhall mug. And Dizzle McFizzle, thank you for the tier 1 YouTube membership. I really appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Based. Didn't even say anything. All right. Yeah, join the Zug Club. Real. All right. Okay. Are you guys ready to embark on an adventure vicariously through my story? All right. Here's what happened. It was kind of a nightmare, if I'm being honest with all of you. So, I'm in California, and you know, I've saved up for a few months so that I can move up there. The thing is, you know, I don't want to immediately move into a permanent, relatively permanent, you know, effectively permanent, longer term residence in a state I've never even visited. You know, I feel like that's pretty understandable as far as motivations go. So I decided it would be smarter to instead, for 3 months, rent like a vacation rental, fully furnished, all utilities included, all that good stuff, for 3 months while I hang out in Seattle, streaming, making content, growing the channel, saving up as well, and exploring Seattle to sort of figure out exactly where I should, you know, end up living long term, right? Because now I can actually physically go look at areas and look at houses that I might want to get and see in person what they're like, which is really important when you're house hunting for a long-term, like, rental house. And I found a place. I found a place that was a tiny house, and I got into correspondence with the landlord, and it was like, hey, you know, it's fully furnished, it's got all utilities included and all that, and I'm like, hey, how is the internet? Is it good, and can I hook up my computer to it with a Ethernet cable? I need it for work. And I said that I was a Google employee, and I need to do very hardcore, high-quality video call interviews for long amounts of time each day. And that's why I need to have very good internet. And she reassures me the internet is good and that no one's ever complained about it. And it's very, very, you know, good internet, right? And I'm like, okay, perfect. So me and Demon Mama, we go across the, you know, up the country, I guess you could say, up the coast, and we make it to Seattle, and we stop at my tiny house, and we unload everything, and there's a few problems. There's a couple problems, all right? Now, one of the problems is not that big a deal, because I can work around it. I can work with it, you know? and it's that the gas hot water heater is a pain in the ass to work with. If you don't, like, turn on the shower as soon as you turn on the faucet, then it won't get the hot water hot, and it'll start beeping and shut down, and you have to, like, reboot it. It was a whole thing, but I mastered it, and it wasn't as big of an issue. But for a while there, I had no hot water, and that was not pleasant. Here's the other issue I had that was a problem, okay? The internet there was dog shit. And by dog shit, I mean, if you were watching the 1 or 2 streams I was able to pull off in that tiny house, it was so bad that I couldn't watch YouTube videos on 1080p. I had to turn them down to 480p, or if I was lucky, 720p, in order to watch them. Like, just watching YouTube videos, that was how bad it was. And then there was the upload speed, which was so bad that I couldn't stream. It was just a nightmare. The internet was awful. So I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing, you know, the internet clearly needs to be upgraded, and that's kind of a pain in the ass for the people who, you know, are renting this to me, right? But I need to be able to work if I'm going to pay the rent here, right? And so I hit up the landlord. I'm like, yo, hey, so, my internet here in this tiny house, it's unusable for work. I really need to have good internet for work. I was wondering if we could find a way to get the internet here upgraded. And, you know, we have a back and forth about it, and it gets to the point where the landlord has me call up the ISP to talk to a representative who asks me to unplug the modem and plug it back in. So I finish up that call. Obviously, none of the instructions they gave help fix it, because the obvious problem was the service package was just too shit. The service package is just too shitty. You know, it just can't accomplish what I need it to accomplish, period, without an upgrade. And so I ring up the landlord, and I talk to her, and we come to the conclusion. I'm like, listen, I will pay for you to upgrade the internet here for the time that I am here. Like, that is a better alternative than anything else, okay? Like, I'll pay for it, and out of my pocket, okay? And everything's all good. And you know what she tells me? She takes like 2 days. Mind you, this was like a lot of back and forth and stubbornness with her, where it's like, call the internet representative again, see if it works out, like all that shit, right? So back and forth. Eventually, she tells me they plan to sell the tiny house at the end of this year, and so they don't want to make any modifications to it. Which means no updating the internet service, like no upgrading it to get like a technician to come in and like set up a proper modem that screws into the wall and isn't like connected to the satellites and doesn't have like an antenna on it where it gets a wireless signal from the sky. So she just basically tells me no. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So thankfully I was able to find this place after like days of trial and error. Like a bunch of places that I found that were really nice wanted to use these weird apps like Zelle and shit like that. These weird bizarre apps I've never even like used before in order for me to pay them like rent and deposit and all that. And I'm just like, okay, so I set it up, and then if you make one single mistake in setting up your account, which happens, you know, like maybe you put in an address that's different from your billing address on your card, you know, that kind of thing, then it doesn't let you pay the person you want to pay. And then, if you want to change the settings to make it work properly, it takes 48 hours for them to update your settings that you put in, or like your information that you put in, so that it's compatible and you can actually use the app. And so I lost out on multiple places because of that, but finally I found a good landlord that was willing to rent a good place out with good internet, and you know, it just, I'm here, you know, I'm in Seattle. Feels great to be here. I found a good place. Can I show you guys how good the internet is here? I mean, for starters, there hasn't been any lag as far as you guys have indicated to me. But I'll go ahead and show you what the speed test looks like that I ran earlier. I sent this to Cherry. But this is what the speed test I ran earlier looks like. It's steady too. Like, it stays at this score. Like, it doesn't fluctuate much from this point. Love to see it. It's mid? Listen, when I get my permanent residence in a few months, where we're doing the quail and everything, I'm gonna be paying for, like, the highest quality fiber optic super internet, okay? Like, I'm gonna be getting the best internet theoretically possible. I want to overkill on internet. I want to be able to stream in 500K when that comes out. That's lower than my ISP's base package. Well, you can just... Wait, hold on, Noobifier. Are you European? You guys need to remember, okay? I'm American, alright? From my understanding, European internet is, like, overwhelmingly better than American internet. At least it was last time I heard. Yeah, bitrate maxing. Thank you, Shenanigans. That's a good way to put it. Also, hello. We got some donos. Let me read those really fast. Larry Banks 78, thank you for the tier 2 sub. I really appreciate that. Says, hope your new place has better internet than the last one. It does. Also, have you heard of the Jonathan Major situation, as it's all over Twitter? Yeah, I heard about it. It's depressing. It's depressing. Thank you for the tier 2 sub, though, Larry Banks. How many months was that? I don't want to undercredit you. Oh, a pillow. They'll throttle you if you use too much data, too. Dorm internet is notoriously shit. They'll even block certain sites if, like, depending on how strict the school and the dormitories are. At least from stories that I've heard. I haven't been to college. Nor will I ever. My vape tastes exactly like orange soda. Oh my god. My vape tastes exactly how the Pacific Northwest looks. Like a minty, piney, evergreen, cold, icy sort of flavor. It's cool mint. I like it a lot. Yeah, any Oilers in the chat? 1 month? Thank you, Larry Banks. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Oh shit, chat. I just realized I did something in the time where I couldn't stream. I did something that I think you guys are going to really like, because I'm going to be talking about it, I think, today. I did something pretty crazy, alright? I binge-watched all of Attack on Titan. Like, caught all the way up from the first... I'd never seen it before. I watched the first episode all the way to the most recent, like, semi-movie, essentially, in, like, 4 days. It is the third anime I've ever watched. And not only that, but I enjoyed it so much that I convinced my mom to watch it. She is now 10 episodes in. She started yesterday. My mom has not watched much or does not care for anime, nor do I really. I don't really care for anime either, but it's good enough that my mom even enjoys it. So that's pretty based. For the record, my mom is visiting right now to help me move. So that was pretty nice. She was actually visiting to just, like, visit and explore Seattle and whatnot, but then it was like, fuck, I have to move, and so she helped me move. And now she's just here and we're, you know, having a vacation in Seattle kind of thing, you know, exploring around, experiencing the city. This map shows where you can get 1 gig fiber internet in Seattle. Hey! Thank you, Dank Catlord. Holy shit. Oh, wow. This is cool. Alright. I see. Where's the highest concentration? Where's the highest concentration? I don't care if this potentially doxes my future self. Oh, it really goes down to, like, the number, huh? It goes down to, like, the brass tacks. Well, okay. You know what? Who sent this? Dank Catboy? Yeah, Dank Catlord. Dank Catlord? That, you get a fucking MVP commendation for sending me this, because I am favoriting this website on my bookmarks bar. gig internet map. Well, let me make it all caps. I am bookmarking this, so when I do my house hunting, I know where I should and shouldn't like what I have another check to like cancel certain options out. It's like, oh, now I know this place can't even get fiber internet, you know? If I like everything else about it, it's like, ooh, almost fucked up there. All right. Thank you for the tier 2 sub, though, Larry Banks. That's very kind of you. And Jade Monkey, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you for the $5. Says, in fairness, as someone who did tech support back in the day, unplugging was something people who called in never thought to try. Yeah, that is true, but it is very frustrating when it's like, I wouldn't say I'm like a seasoned tech professional or anything like that, but I'm reasonably competent with it. Generally speaking, so it can be very frustrating to be asked to unplug something and plug it back in. It's like, that was the first thing I tried. Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? No, the only anime I have seen are Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Death Note, and Attack on Titan. And I think today, I'm going to be not only reviewing Attack on Titan, but discussing the politics of Attack on Titan. What do you guys think of that? I will be getting heavily into spoilers during that segment, though, so I think I'll save it for the end of stream. Does that sound good? Wait, my mom is in the other room. I should make sure she can't hear. No spoiler? My mom doesn't want me to spoil it. Okay. Me and my mom will grind out all of Attack on Titan over the next few days, and then we'll review it, okay? Then we'll review it. She doesn't want... Listen, trust me, you don't want... I do not want her to get spoiled on this show, okay? The twists and the turns are so good. I'm excited to see her reaction to some of them. I'm going to go ahead and say something that's not a spoiler for me or my mom, because we've seen this part already, but maybe for some of you in chat who haven't seen Attack on Titan, so while I have my thumb up, I want you to cover your ears. While my thumb is in the air, cover your ears, and my thumb goes down, you can uncover them, and there won't be any spoilers, alright? The scene, or the part where Eren ends up becoming a Titan, and like bursts out of the old guy and everything. My mom was pretty surprised by that twist, and she's still wondering, what the fuck is the deal with that? Because she doesn't know yet. We're only 10 episodes in. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. Does he know? Anyway, no more Attack on Titan spoilers though for the rest of the stream. All right, no, I won't do my review. I won't do my review of Attack on Titan until my mom is either has finished her vacation here or we have finished the show. Because she'll overhear me talking and hear the spoilers in the other room. This apartment is pretty nice and it's pretty big too, but like sound still travels through it when I'm having to talk as loud as I do when I stream. You guys can't tell, but I'm actually like really, really loud right now. Like I'm projecting my voice quite a lot to be heard as clearly as I am through the mic. Do you want to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood over Discord sometime here soon? Yeah, at some point I'm probably down to do that, Apillo. Right now I am super swamped with a lot of shit to do. So for those of you guys that don't know, one of the things that I want you guys to be excited about is in the coming months, we are going to be going pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, so to say, with triple uploads. That's 3 uploads a day. Now, this means that some of the videos are going to be, like, recorded on my phone out in public or, like, while I'm taking a walk or in my backyard or, you know, maybe just somewhere in my house. I'll just record a video on my phone. Just sort of a rant video to help fill out the 3 videos a day. But for the most part, these are going to be proper stream segments that are being uploaded, which means there's going to be a lot more streams to accommodate the 3 videos per day getting uploaded. As you guys have already seen, we've already done a few days or a week or so where we did 3 uploads per day. So, you know, we've done it before, but due to a lot of the technical difficulties we've been running into, I haven't been able to stream enough to supply the segments required to, you know, do 3 uploads per day. So get hyped for that. We pulling a quartering, it works for the right. The difference is my content is good and based, and their content is cringe and gay. So true. Beta Leafy, thank you for the additional $5 donation. That's really nice of you. Says, back when I lived in Sanford, Michigan, people used to bring up the dam as proof regulation is useless and hurts everything it touches because it worked. Only for it to fail in 2020 due to too much rain. Yeah, that sounds about right for Michiganians. Although, to be fair, didn't Michigan swing for Biden in the 2020 election? Like, Michigan was a big win for Biden. Like, it was purple or red or something for a while, and then just went blue when the mail-in ballots got counted. Dude, you guys, we need to do a stream where we react to my coverage of the election, because there was a point where it looked like Biden was gonna lose, and you guys were doomering in chat, and I was like, trust me guys, they haven't counted the mail-in ballots yet. The mail-in ballots get counted a bit later. Those are gonna be overwhelmingly Democrat votes. Like, the fact that Biden's already this in the head now without the mail-ins being voted is a really good sign. And then Biden fucking pulled ahead with the mail-in ballots getting voted. Like, that is exactly what I said was gonna happen, and then it did. The absolute gift of prophecy. Also, hold on, chat. I have to say this right now. Doe gave me this weed vape, and it is amazing. Okay? Holy shit, it's called Sticky Frog. It looks like this. I don't know if they all look like this, but they seem to all look like this. But, like, it came over and gave me this vape, and I was completely out, and, you know, I was just like, here, let's hang out. And so it came over, and we hung out for a bit, and it brought this vape with it, and I got the vape, and I took a hit from it. Who is Doe? Demon Mama's partner. And so I hit this vape, and I hadn't vaped all day. I had not had any marijuanas all day, okay? It had been over 24 hours, so I was very sober, and my, like, tolerance was, comparatively to normal, quite gone. So I took this thing, and I hit it for probably 15 seconds straight. Then I took a big inhale of air, like, behind it, to, like, you know, really get it down into my lungs. If you vape, you know what I'm talking about. And I held it, and then I started coughing. Very, very, like, aggressively and like, uncontrollably. Like, the kind of, like, weed cough where there's, like, globs of spit coming out of your throat because, like, you're coughing so, like, deeply. Like, that cough, you know? Close to, like, the COVID cough. Just, like, really hard coughing, and I'm just like, can this please end? Like, Doe is sitting right next to me, and it's just like patting my back, like, there, Zan, and I'm just like, I was so fucking embarrassed, but in hindsight, it's really, really funny. It's really hilarious. Zan, have you ever done edibles with Vosh yet? No, I have not done edibles with Vosh yet, but we did go to a dispensary. Didn't get any edibles, though, but we went to a dispensary. Oh, Scoop, my weed is too dank, man. True. Holy shit, there's 300 people watching right now. Hey, chat. Listen closely to me. If you're watching right now and you would like to support your favorite streamer, that is right, your favorite streamer, You can do so for completely free simply by hitting the like button on YouTube. That little thumbs up button, just clicking that little button goes a lot further than I think a lot of you guys even realize. It actually forces YouTube to push my stream to more people in the algorithm, which increases my viewer count. And, you know, you can just create a cycle with that just grows the channel, grows the stream. And I really do appreciate all the support. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's start our first topic. Been live for 30 minutes now, and I haven't started our first topic. How could I? How wretchedly irresponsible of me. Here, let me bring up the first thing I cataloged for us to cover today. Oh, by the way, chat, if any of you... Okay, this is a little weird. Okay. Please. Opera GX. Opera GX, why are you doing this? Okay. Now every time I try to switch, like move the window into a tab in an existing Opera GX window, it just creates a new window. That is cringe. No. No. Uh-oh. This is bad. Oh, and I can't do it here either, because... Oh, and I fucked myself, because... Okay, Opera GX is hella broken when it comes to moving tabs around. Hey, chat, do any of you guys know if there's, like, a weird setting you can turn on Opera GX on accident that makes it so that, you can't drag a site or a link into the little plus sign to create a new tab in an existing window? Nah, it's just broken. Is it broken for everyone else too? Oh, everyone's having this issue. Is like that feature of Opera GX broken for everyone else who uses it? Holy hell. Yeah, it's been a nightmare the last few days dealing with it. Fuck. Okay, in that case I'll have to like... Okay, this works. Yeah, this can work. There we go. I found a workaround. Little annoying, but, you know, hopefully Opera GX gets around to fixing that, you know? Like, Jesus, that's kind of a important feature for any basic browser to have, I feel like. Hello there, Lucy Hayes. There's so many new people here. Hello. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to start the first topic of the day. Oh, yeah. Good idea. My mom just reminded me I should turn on my, my lights. I forgot. You guys forgot to remind me about my bisexual lighting. Wow, that's a little... Hold on. Let's do it properly. Okay, and that one turns on. We wait for it to change color. Once it changes color, then I can turn on the next one. There's a whole process here I have to do, otherwise it'll make everything look really weird. Wait for it. It's changing color. Is it even cycling? Mode, full color fade. There we go. Now they're all on that mode. So if I do off, 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 and I turn this one on, I wait for that one to go from red to magenta, and that's when I turn on the next one. I have to do it like out of order, otherwise the lighting will be all messed up with the camera. Just trust me. The lights have to be, you know, in the right shade. All right, and then I turn on this one. Oh no, oh, that one's behind me. That one's in that, in the closet there, behind that curtain. So now we wait for that light to turn magenta, and then I can turn on the next one. All right, and then I turn on the next one. Now that one's gonna light up red. And I wait for it to turn magenta, and then I turn on the next one. And that's the last one. It's a little bit of a pain to turn these on each time, but yeah. I did not buy that pillow. This is a pre-furnished rental. If you wonder about the pillow, it is not a... I did not buy it. It is just a pre-furnished rental. That is how these things tend to be. All right. We got our cool lights now. Awesome. And then Sophie, thank you for the tier 1 gift of sub to Little Morphine Annie. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5. Said no more white names. True. I love a good old white name genocide. What a good way to start off my return to streaming. Thank you so much for that. Let me update the dono go really fast, and then it's time for us to start off with our first topic. What are you puffing on today? Well, I've got my normal Flume Cool Mint Float, Flume Float. I have my normal Flume Float Cool Mint vape, and then I have my brand new, this is what Doe gave me, and I love these things now. The Sticky Frog weed stick. This thing is strong as fuck. I think it's 99% THC. Let me check. Sticky Frog vape. How strong? Let me check how strong this is. They've got a bunch of products. Okay, well that didn't help. I couldn't find it, but yeah, it was like 99% strength or something like that, like just absurdly strong. Wow, you got to meet the dough. Indeed, I did. A lot of my friends live up in this part of the country, so it's nice to be like not an entire road trip away from my internet friends. You know, it's really fun. It's been a great time. Anyway, all that said. Let's get started on the first topic. All right, y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about Matt Walsh. I know, you guys are all aware of him at this point if you watch my content. I feel like I have a tendency to kind of unnecessarily give background to certain discussions like this. Like, I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of Matt Walsh. So instead of like explaining who he is, I think instead I'm just going to like explain why I hate him in a way that also explains who he is in case you don't know who he is, right? And also this may also act as like a list of reasons why any potential Matt Walsh fans watching should no longer be Matt Walsh fans. Fat Walsh. Okay. I don't know why that made me laugh. I'm immature. Alright. That said, though, Matt Walsh works for the Daily Wire, and he is a stooge who has probably taken tens of millions of dollars in conservative dark money in order to push the, like, red right-wing party line. And that party line basically morphs and changes with the culture war over time, but, like, you know, you can literally see that there is no genuine sincerity in anything that he stands for, anything that he argues for, anything that he says or claims. He is just a political mouthpiece, a puppet that the Daily Wire pays a whole lot of money to use his charisma, which he does have. He has charisma, at least as far as conservatives are concerned, to use his charisma and his other qualifying traits, you know, being a media pundit, to push right-wing propagandistic drivel down people's throats. And people just eat that shit up. He's also just kind of like a really huge weirdo. He's said multiple times that, like, the age of consent being 18 years old is, like, a liberal, like, construct centered around the idea of, like, extended, you know, like this child. Like, I think the way he described it is using kid gloves to treat young adults. They need to be getting married if they're going to get pregnant. Like, he also said that 16-year-old girls who get pregnant via rape or incest shouldn't be able to get abortions. Like, a lot of really horrible shit. I think he also said to, yeah, he says young adults. That's his dog whistle word. But, like, I think he also said he violates his kids' consent all the time when reviewing a children's book called C is for Consent, which basically just explains that, like, you shouldn't do things or, like, impede on people's personal space, etc., without asking first. And if you ask and get a no, then you can't do it. Like, it's basically just explaining the concept of empathizing with other people's boundaries and, like, caring about consent to children. And Matt Walsh was like, this is the worst thing ever. So he's a massive creep. And in the meanwhile, right, he's using the most common conservative anti-trans talking point out there right now, which is to claim that it is in fact the left and trans people who support pedophilia and grooming of children, which is really ironic when you consider the fact that overwhelmingly it is the right that is in favor of this, whether it be the Catholic Church, whether it be their defense of the concept of, like, they literally, part of their ideology is the idea that young women need to be getting married and having babies. Like, it's just a lot of what conservatism stands for is inherently pedophilic and groomery, which is why it's so clearly projection when the right, like, lobs that accusation at trans people or at the left broadly. Anyway, if that didn't explain who Matt Walsh was to anybody who doesn't know, then nothing can. And frankly, I think it did a good job of explaining why I don't like the guy. But something new has come out recently. A few days ago actually, I'm a little late to this. A clip was posted on his Twitter from his show where he said, "Your choice to transition is not merely personal or private. It will have a devastating effect on your loved ones. You owe it to your family to live in reality." Now, Matt Walsh has kind of... Matt Walsh has moved the goalpost as far as his public engagement with the trans issue is concerned for a while now. Look at any Daily Wire host 3 years ago. Most of the things they were complaining about were, like, trans people in sports and, like, kids maybe in some reality getting bottom surgery at some point if, like, if mistakes are made in treatment. Like, that was, like, they basically said, but what if that? What if this? Like, they weren't willing to outright say this or that is happening. It was a very subtle and dishonest, dog whistly kind of transphobia, like 3 or 4 years ago. Do you guys remember that? Like, when it was a lot more low-key, a lot more mask on? Well, hatred towards trans people has gotten a lot more acceptable, particularly online, and it's also gotten a lot more profitable, and, it draws the clicks now. There's an entire community of people online, much like back during Gamergate, there was an entire community of people online dedicated to hating feminism and consuming content dedicated to hating feminism. There is now an entire community of people who have dedicated themselves to consuming content and engaging with content centered around hating trans people. Does that make sense to you guys? Both of them are equally dumb, but one is, I would argue, a little bit more mask off and, like, openly hateful than the other. Like, at least when it was, like, anti-feminist, it was never, like, openly anti-woman for the most part. Like, they would be openly anti-woman, the worst of them, but they were usually mask on enough that they would claim, we don't have a problem with women, we don't like feminism. That's the issue we have. But now it's gotten to the point where you have Matt Walsh claiming that trans people are, like, an active threat to civilization. And if you look back to, just 3 or more years ago, these figures were saying things like they don't care what you do if you're an adult or in the privacy of your own home. They don't care if you identify as trans or if you don't push on it, like, all that stuff, right? They would do the basic, like, if you're an adult, you can do what you want. I'll respect your freedom. Now, though, transgenderism has to be eradicated. That's coming from the mouth of these Daily Wire hosts. That is their opinion now. And it's because over time, we've seen hatred of trans people get progressively more and more acceptable. Hey, Evie Gretel. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this clip from Matt Walsh. Apparently, this is him freaking out about how trans people existing is actually cruel to trans people's families if their families are transphobic because... how dare you, I guess. I can't really even explain what reasonable thought process would lead someone to this position. You just have to be evil to think what Matt Walsh is about to say.
This is why we need to call more attention to the callous, narcissistic
Oh, I just realized this is really quiet. There we go.
This is why we need to call more attention to the callous, narcissistic disregard that the gender ideologue has for his own loved ones. This is, as I said, a central feature of the ideology. There's a reason why so many of transgenderism's most prominent mascots are, grown men who, quote, transitioned later in life and intentionally destroyed their marriages and families in the process.
One of my favorite things about this is that people like Matt Walsh, the people in Matt Walsh's political sphere, repeatedly keep on ruining their, social lives by holding these political views. Not even holding these political views, but obsessively holding these political views. I believe it was Glinner, the British comedian, I guess. I don't find him particularly funny. The British comedian who I just realized I'm really out of frame. I'm really out of frame on my camera here. I'll have to fix that after this segment. The British comedian that decided to be like a big J.K. Rowling dick rider and go full turf and all that. He was so obsessed with hating trans people that his wife left him and took the kids. Oh, thank you for reminding me, chat. Like, his wife literally left him and took the kids. And people just meme on him about it nonstop these days. It's really, really funny. It is really funny to see people who dedicate themselves to being like hateful pieces of shit, like to have that kind of comeuppance, right? Because in a just world, nobody who behaves in the way that Glinner did should have anybody in their lives who cares about them. Does that make sense? Nobody like Glinner who says and believes the things he does should have familial or friend support, right? I feel like they've kind of just become a bad enough person they don't deserve it anymore. Maybe I'm a bit too cruel. I am a bit spiteful towards people like this. And he's British, so I particularly am rooting against him, but, my bigotry and racism aside, it's just how I feel.
Take Rachel Levine, for example, 65 years old today. That means he decided to, quote, come out as a woman in 2011, which means that he was in his early 50s, when he made that decision.
Okay, so for the record, there's no actual arguments going to be made here against, being trans. To be clear here, the whole point of conservative anti-LGBT propaganda at this point is to make anti-LGBT entertainment. Does that make sense? It's not about spreading arguments or reasons for why one should be anti-LGBT. Being anti-LGBT or homophobic or transphobic is a given within these communities now. The argument, or I guess the point of these videos now, is to provide entertainment to an audience who agrees with these values, right? So this video is mostly just going to be, blatant, cruelty towards trans people. That's really probably all it's going to be. So if that is upsetting to you, then yeah, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, I will be fixing my camera while I respond to this video as best I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if my chat can hear the burn that you just gave Matt Walsh, but I'm going to let them know. Hey, chat, my mom just said just a fantastic burn on Matt Walsh. I think she said, why does he look like someone asked AI to create an image of a disappointing man? She's watching the stream in the other room and she walked up to yell that through the door. For the record, by the way, my mom has had no idea who Matt Walsh is before, seeing the stream in the other room. So there you go, chat. There's a normal person's interpretation of seeing Matt Walsh talk and exist.
He had a wife who he'd been married to for years. He had 2 kids. Putting everything else aside, just think about how unfathomably selfish you have to be, how uncaring. And
do you guys remember when it was this is the same argument made about gay dudes who figured it out later in life? Because there's a lot of gay guys who don't figure out that they're gay until they're pretty far along in life, all things considered. And, they might have kids, they might have they have kids, a wife, etc. Like all that good stuff, right? And it's like, ah, shit. Turns out that person's gay and they aren't into women. They've just now kind of figured that out, or they've just now come to terms with that. Like, this has been a thing for a long time, and conservatives have always been like, have always tried to find some way to make LGBT people who only figure it out later in life and have already kind of lived through their life in a position where they haven't figured themselves out yet feel bad for like coming out and existing as who they truly are. That's been a thing for a long time. Like this stereotype of like the older guy, you know, what married, has kids, figures out he's gay, and like, yeah, like it's been a thing for a long time. That kind of like stereotype.
And heartless to tell your wife that her husband is
For the record, the only solution to this is like homosexuality, being trans, etc., being more well known and accepted in society, because that means more trans and gay people figure out they're trans or gay while they're younger, and they don't end up being like in their 30s or 40s with a wife and 2 kids before they figure out that they're trans or LGBT or whatever. And like they like if that's a concern to you, then wouldn't you agree that it's best to make being LGBT much more widespread, like known and accepted? The answer to that is no, because the only constant in what these people believe, or what they'll say, I should say, is whatever makes trans people the most miserable and hurts their feelings the most. That is all these people believe. It's like, to be clear, all Matt Walsh is trying to do here is say things that hurt trans people's feelings. There's no arguments here. It's just like content entertainment for transphobes.
gone, and now she has to get used to being married to a woman. And guess what? You're in a lesbian relationship now.
Fuck yeah.
Whether you like it or not. And to tell your children that their father is gone. They no longer have a father. Their father is dead.
Only if you have your way, Matt Walsh. It's I mean, the data's pretty cut and dry on the fact that transitioning helps gender dysphoria and significantly decreases the likelihood of suicide, suicidal ideation, depression, etc. Not only that, but support from friends and family, even more so, compounds on this. It is people like Matt Walsh that stand defiantly in the way of lowering trans suicide and depression rates. So, these people, they know this. They know this is true. That's why they behave the way they do. Bars.
And now they must simply accept that they have 2 moms. Consider how disastrously self-absorbed you must be to put this.
Don't these people claim that it's like moms that are the ones that are meant to be raising kids because they're more biologically ordained by God, designated to do child rearing? Isn't that what these people believe? Wouldn't 2 moms be better? Wait, no, because these people also believe that if you're raised by a woman only, then you'll become a woman and you have to be raised by like a father figure too. I forgot. These people are really weird. I bet this guy believes exactly what Jesse Lee Peterson believes, where it's like, oh, you're half man, half woman because you were raised by a mom and dad? Who remembers that? When Destiny said that he's equally close to his mom and dad, and Jesse Lee Peterson responded, so you're half man, half woman? With a fully straight fucking face. God, that man is a treasure.
To weight, this burden on your family, on those who depend on you. But what is Levine supposed to do? Is he supposed to suppress his deepest desires and live as a man even if he doesn't feel like one? Even if it makes him uncomfortable? Yes, of course that's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, so to be clear, like the smug like smile and like the getting close to the camera to be all like, yes. This is just meant to upset trans people. It's the only point. It's just downright, outright cruelty and bigotry towards trans people. And for the record, this video, tons of views on YouTube. Tons of views on YouTube. I've said it many, many times now, and I know that some of my fans get super triggered whenever I talk about like liking TOS and liking when Nazis or bigots get banned, but I'm gonna be honest, I do like when people like Matt Walsh get banned. Not even just because it's funny or it's good or it's politically effective, but because it means the TOS is actually being applied equally. Like, if Matt Walsh got banned, it would make me happy because I've watched as, like, YouTubers who are on the left who are covering Matt Walsh have gotten striked for the content Matt Walsh made being in their video, while Matt Walsh's channel remains completely untouched because his is larger and thus has, like, some kind of built-in protection against false or even, accurate strikes. Hell, I think there was a lefty YouTuber recently who had a video fully demonetized just for having Matt Walsh's face in the thumbnail because it like marked it as hateful content just for having Matt Walsh's face in the thumbnail. Meanwhile, this guy is still not banned on YouTube and is fully monetized. As far as I know, he's fully monetized, but yeah. Ugh.
Of course. Now, this may come as a shock to the left. I know it comes as a shock to them. But there are more important things in your life than your desires, especially desires that are so deeply disordered.
So there's really no argument here. It's just like your desires don't matter is what he's saying here. Disordered? I don't know. He's just he thinks that being trans is like a disorder. Like if you're transgender and you feel like you're in the wrong body, then you're like mentally ill. You're a degenerate mentally ill disorder. Like you have a disorder that needs to be like they believe in conversion therapy as the best treatment, generally speaking. That's usually their go-to is conversion therapy, which has never ever been proven to work. In fact, it has repeatedly been proven not to work time and time again. They don't really push for it for gay people anymore because like been there, done that like 2 decades ago. But now it's like all the rage to advocate for conversion therapy for trans people because like trans people are the new like LGBT group the right is creating a culture war and like hysteria about.
Your responsibility to your family is one of those things. And now we get to the part that very few people ever say out loud. I have, as you know, many arguments against gender ideology. I've articulated all of them many times.
I do wish that he was like willing to just outright say against trans people. What he means is trans people. He says gender ideology every time, and it's a dog whistle because he can't. It's a little bit too cruel to just outright say these trans people. Like, I've been fighting against trans people. I've been fighting against the trans rights. Like, he can't say trans rights or trans people, which is what he's actually fighting against and attacking. He has to say gender ideology, this made-up term that's just a dog whistle for trans people existing. That's pretty much it.
But here's another point in addition to those that needs to be acknowledged. As we know, you cannot be any sex other than the one you were born as. Any attempt to transition is ultimately doomed to failure.
Well, I'm afraid the entire medical and academic consensus disagrees on that. And that is why none of you Daily Wire stooges do scheduled debates with anybody who knows how to debate anymore, because all of the things you claim have gotten so sensational, you would be like a fucking 5-year-old could wipe the floor with you on these topics, given like 30 minutes to do research. Like, I'm not even kidding, by the way. Like, it doesn't take that much time to read the research on the consensus on this. Like, there are very consolidated platforms. There are platforms that have done a very good job of consolidating all of the data and studies and research and medical science around all of this to give you a very good understanding of like why gender transition is the best option for people with gender dysphoria. And there's also very good like resources that have kind of argued why gender, the social construct of gender, isn't and has never really been this like binary set in stone thing. I mean, for a long time it hasn't.
It fails before it even begins. But also, not only do you have no choice but to be the sex that you are, you also have the responsibility to accept that fact.
I really don't know what else to say other than these people have just devolved to like villain speeches. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say in response to... It would be like if I was watching a video of a guy just ranting about how he wants slavery. Like, I need you guys to understand this level of political engagement in probably less than a decade max, is going to be so taboo it will end careers. Okay? I think you guys may not understand right now, but like the level of acceptance of trans people among Gen Z, despite the fact Gen Z is absolutely a massive target for right-wing radicalization, the acceptance of LGBT identities among Gen Z is quite high. The right knows this. Conservative ideology, as much as they'll try to front like it is not popular among Zoomers in America. The right knows this. It's why they've been fighting very hard to try to raise the age to vote. They want to disenfranchise young voters that are like 18 to 20, and turning 18, coming to like the next election, the next year or so. They are very scared of this generation voting. The right does not, as it exists now, probably doesn't have that long going for it. Like, they don't have that much going for it in the long term. Every consecutive generation has been more progressive than the last. Less of them have voted Republican than the last. And every day, more Republican voters, for the most part, die off. Literally, they die off. And very few are being born or coming into voting age to replace them. This is just a blatant reality of American politics right now. Does this make sense to you guys? Does anyone here disagree? As far as all the data that I have seen, this is true. Gen Z and all the generations before it have been progressively more left-wing and accepting of like LGBT identities. And I think Gen Z is like much more accepting of LGBT identities than even millennials are. Millennials are the previous generation before Gen Z, right, chat? Like, Gen Z is way more accepting of LGBT people than even millennials from the last bit of data that I saw. So, listen, I'm pulling from data here. I'm just saying it. These people realize that there is not much time left to make a career off of hatred this blatant. This is literally like clan leader tier transphobia, if we were to draw like a direct comparison. I don't know how long this is going to last. And I'm so excited to watch as this all comes crumbling down, because it will. It will, and it's going to be glorious. It always does. Every time the right gains steam for like one of these cultural control shifts that we've seen, it's always less powerful than the last one. It's more crazy than the last one, but it's less powerful and influential than the last one. And they lose more ground every time. Just a little bit, but they lose more ground every time things shift back to the left. That said, let's resume.
And live accordingly. Okay, a man has the responsibility to live as a man and act as a man, and a woman as a woman. You have a responsibility, in other words, to live in reality.
All I have to say about this is you are a massive cuck if you let this guy tell you how to live your life. That's all I have to say. You are a huge cuck if you let this guy dictate how you live your life. YouTubers and online media celebrities or whatever should not be determining what you are, like, what is your responsibility? What should you do? How should you live your life? If you listen to other people who tell you how to live your life, you are a massive fucking cuck. And I have no respect for you. I don't see you as a person. I see you as like an automaton, a robot who's been programmed. You're not a person.
We are not atomized individuals living in our own universes, divorced from the next person's reality. We have lives that are intertwined with each other. We, in fact, do live in a society, it turns out.
We live in a society. No, this is hilarious considering the fact the right has taken every anti-reality position on every single issue that has come up for as long as I can remember. Like, this guy literally, I'm pretty sure Matt Walsh doesn't believe in climate change, man-made climate change, right? Like, that's a pretty basic conservative position, to not believe in man-made climate change. That is about as far from, like, reality as it gets. They don't really harp on it as much anymore because they realize it's such a losing issue, because 97% of scientists, climate scientists and scientists generally, like, disagree with them. But, like, or no, I think it's like 99.7. It's more, it's a ridiculous amount. It's like close to 100%. They don't really harp on that issue as much anymore, but as soon as the trans issue is as well known, or the science behind it and the data and whatnot is as well known about it as, say, climate change, they're going to have to abandon this issue just like they did climate change. Because, like, climate change denialism does not sell well for the right these days, does it? You guys have noticed that, right? They lost that war when Mr. Beast started doing Team Seas and Team Trees. Hell, Elon Musk is even forced to kind of, like, weaponize the like pro-environmentalist popularity for his own benefit, because there's no point going against it. You have to appropriate it. So I don't know. Like, you got to appropriate it.
We also live in families, and our lives are more intertwined the closer we are tied to each other, whether by blood or by marriage. What this means is that when you decide to totally reject the non-negotiable realities of the world, and even to reject your own physical nature, you are not making a neutral decision that affects no one but yourself. You are tied to others.
Oh, that's a very interesting goalpost move, or at least an interesting reason for him to move the goalpost. So before it was, as long as you're an adult and you're making your own decisions and you decide to be trans, you're not hurting anybody, and you're not hurting anybody, like, by, I guess, I don't know, forcing people to gender you correctly, I guess, is their view of hurting people as trans. Like, then you're fine. Now it's, if you're an adult even and you identify as trans, you are hurting people by being trans. So stop. You're evil by hurting people by being trans. That is my understanding of his argument.
Other people, whether you like it or not, and you are pulling them with you into this dark, twisted, alternate universe that you have constructed. You are imposing it on them. That man in the clip is a father. That is a bond that will forever tie him to his son and forever define both of them. When the son decides to be a woman, quote unquote, he is doing that to his father. He's not just radically changing.
For those who don't know, he's reacting to a Dr. Phil clip. We're gonna watch it in a minute. You're gonna see what he's reacting to that has him all triggered here in a minute, and it's pretty funny. It's a very funny silver lining to all of this.
Changing his own life, he is radically changing his father's life and demanding that his father be okay with it. This is my life, he might say. But it's not just his life. There are many other lives bound up with his life.
This is just concern trolling. How many of you guys are not familiar with the term concern trolling? Because I'm sure some of you aren't, because you fall for it often. I see a lot of lefties fall for concern trolling. I'll find a direct Google definition for you guys so it's as clear as possible. Concern trolling. The action or practice of disingenuously expressing concern about an issue in order to undermine or derail genuine discussion. There seems to be a lot of concern trolling in the second half of this article as an example of its use. That is what he is doing right now. He's concern trolling. He's pretending like he genuinely cares about, the lives and the makeup of these people's families and whatnot, when in reality, he's just trying to say something that sounds inarguably morally kind as an argument against the validity and the existence of trans people and the rights to exist of trans people.
Life, and he is seeking to fundamentally alter all of them. Now, if you were some sort of immortal being that materialized out of the ether and was passively, floating in space somewhere out near the asteroid belt, then it might be true that your decisions and lifestyle choices don't affect anyone else. Okay? If you're just floating out in space and you materialized out there, then
So basically, he's trying to argue that no matter how you live your life, existing on Earth means you affect other people, so you have to exist to the standards that conservatives demand, otherwise you're a bad person. So, to be clear, these are the people who have always built their dominance culturally on the idea that they are fighting for freedom. That the left is trying to take people's freedom from them, tell them how to live and whatnot. Meanwhile, this guy is demanding you live the way he tells you to, because just existing on Earth means that you're affecting other people, so you have to live the way that he wants you to live. Imagine this standard applying to anything or anyone else. It couldn't. Not in any universe could this standard apply to anybody else. And it sound like it's a reasonable position.
yes, then you can rightly say, well, what I do has no effect on anybody else, so what is it to you? But if you're a human being, born to human parents, raised in a family and living in a community, then nearly everything you do has an impact on others, and that impact is felt more profoundly the closer someone is to you.
So, by this logic, by the way, no one is allowed to be trans and no one is allowed to be gay. Which is, of course, what Matt Walsh is pushing for and what his audience is in favor of at the moment. They're like right now, a lot of the Republicans are trying to get the Supreme Court to repeal gay marriage. That's what they're after next, gay marriage. So, yeah. He is purposefully, effectively, implicitly arguing that no gay or trans people should be allowed to exist because them existing will bother transphobes and homophobes, and thus they are affecting other people. If you want to be gay or trans, you have to leave the planet, I guess.
For the guy in that Dr. Phil segment, his refusal to live as the person that he is, his denial of reality, his rejection of his basic responsibility as a man, starting with the responsibility to be a man and act as a man and accept the fact that he is a man,
Cope.
Becomes now a giant.
To be clear, by the way, he can say as many cruel statements as he wants. It changes nothing. The person who he's mad about being trans won't untrans because Matt Walsh went on a transphobic rant about him. Like, that's not how it works. You know, like he's just going on a mad, angry rant about someone that he's angry about, and he's triggered, and he's saying the most cruel things he can think of because maybe there's some trans people watching, and he hopes it'll trigger some trans people. But that doesn't change the fact that there's trans people out there. Like, these people aren't going to succeed in achieving the trans genocide they want so badly. Is he talking about... Okay, I can't tell if he's talking about a trans woman or a trans man because these people will, deliberately... they'll deliberately make it overly confusing as to, what the gender identity is of the person they're referring to as, a non-argument. Have you guys seen how conservatives will say, he, she, it, they, or whatever, instead of just using the correct pronouns for a trans person? And it's a non-argument kind of performative display of how confusing trans people's pronouns are. You guys have seen that from conservative propagandists, right? Where they'll talk about a trans person, say he, she, or something. And it's meant to be a disingenuous, oh, look how confusing these trans people are with their pronouns, right? And it's not an actual argument against trans people, but it's meant to make dumb people feel like it is. He essentially does that and makes it impossible to tell what the gender identity is of the person he's referring to because, he'll say this man, this woman, this person thinks, I can't tell who he's referring to, but yeah, there you go. Conservative content is inherently kind of muddy. It makes no sense.
Giant cross that everyone who loves him must carry. He has exploded all of their lives so that he can live as he wishes.
For the record, the exploding of his family's lives is his family is mad that he's trans and won't respect his identity, and so he refuses to, or I guess she, I don't know. I like I said, Matt Walsh is me misgendering now. Like the person in question, I haven't seen the clip, so we'll watch it in a minute, but the person in question is a trans woman, from my understanding, whose dad is mad about her being trans, and so they went on Dr. Phil, and now Matt Walsh is just like, look how selfish this trans woman is to not engage or like to disown her parents who don't support her. Like, he's just mad.
Now, he may be a victim in his own right, a victim of brainwashing,
Start misgendering conservatives.
a victim of the lies that he has come to believe. But now he makes victims of his family, of the people who love him the most. And nothing will ever make that okay.
Damn. Nothing will ever make being trans okay. That's what that means, by the way. Like, cutting through the bullshit and the dog whistles and the euphemisms, that's what he means. Nothing will ever make being trans okay, is what that actually means. Now we have the clip. I haven't seen this clip yet, but apparently this is what he was reacting to. This is the Dr. Phil clip. Is this copyrighted? I bet this is copyrighted, but I have seen a lot of YouTubers react to Dr. Phil on stream before, so... Sherry, do what must be done in the editing realm to make this work. I like how the audience is clapping and this guy's literally crying. Holy shit. Wait, I wish I'd started with this. It would have been way funnier if we started with this. He's literally like whimpering. The whole audience is clapping for her too. Because like the audience are good people for the most part, or at least like probably meet a bare minimum bar of being a good person.
Nice to meet you. We'll sit right here.
He's whimpering because now he wants to fuck his daughter. You know, that is true of a lot of conservative dads. Yeah, that is possible. That's not out of the realm of possibility. We know how these people are, these transphobes.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now, Gary.
I'm hurt bad.
Listen, I need you guys to remember, conservative parents are getting lonelier, and it's making the right scared. A lot of the, like, audience of, say, Tucker Carlson, for example, are, like, boomer parents and grandparents who don't speak to their kids or grandkids anymore, or I should say vice versa, their kids and grandkids don't speak to them because they've fallen down the QAnon Tucker Carlson rabbit hole, and like every time they have Thanksgiving dinner, they start ranting about how BLM is evil and like the trans people are groomers, and it's like not very pleasant at the dinner table, and so now they're lonely. Like, there's no way Tucker Carlson gets the amount of viewership he does from people who are having happy, fulfilling lives with families who care about them. Like, that's... Most of these people are being disowned by their younger family. It's very common. They complain about it incessantly on Twitter. I know that for sure. How many transphobic parents have you seen rant on Twitter about how their trans kid, who they refuse to, like, view as the gender they identify as and respect, like, won't talk to them anymore, and they're like suicidal or depressed about it or something, and it's like, just respect your trans kid's identity. Like, it's that easy. It's that easy. Clearly you don't love your kid that much.
Really bad.
What do you have to say?
Why?
His hatred of trans people overwhelms his own love of his child. Like, fundamentally, that, like, you have to be a really shitty parent, I think, fundamentally, for, like, your hatred of a certain, like, group to overwhelm your love of your kid, right? Like, I feel like love for your kid's supposed to be like the number one priority of a parent. That's what Matt Walsh would argue. I feel like that's what I think most conservatives would argue if it benefited what they were trying to claim. They're not very honest, so maybe they'd argue the opposite, depending on the issue. But generally speaking, I feel like conservatives would agree with that.
I just want you to know that you didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong.
He feels
She's even defending him. Like she's even just like defending him because she probably feels bad for him at this point. I honestly probably would. Like, he is pretty pitiful. The dad is pretty pitiful. Like, he's crying on national television about how his daughter is a woman. And he just can't. He just can't handle it. You wouldn't? I think so. I think a lot of people would feel pity. Not like a, oh, I forgive you now pity, but like a, oh, I still think you're a piece of shit, and I pity you kind of pity. You know what I mean?
he lets you down. He's gone back to the point of, he says, one time for Halloween.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
He dressed up like a girl. I thought it was funny.
Okay, Dr. Phil. Bruh. Dr. Phil. I get that this is a direct quote, but like, Shimon.
At first. No, I certainly don't. I thought it was Halloween. You know, so I just went along with it. Actually pinched him on his behind and said,
There it is. There it is. Do you know how many times I've had my ass pinched by a parent intentionally? 0 times. I think that's normal to not have had your ass pinched by your parents. So yeah, sounds pretty sus to me, dog. Like, who was it in chat that said he's just mad because he wants to fuck his daughter now? And I was like, yeah, probably. You know how big of weirdos these transphobes are. Who said that? Who said that in chat earlier? Flighted Crow? Did you see this already? Were you spoiled on this already? Let's rewatch that bit. Let's get an instant replay on that bit.
no, I certainly don't. I thought it was Halloween. You know, so I just went along with it. Actually pinched him on his behind and said he made a good-looking girl, but I was only joking. He's not a good-looking girl.
Oh! On national television, bro? On Dr. Phil, dude? Oh. No. I think he's done. Your Honor, my client was clearly making a joke.
He's a very beautiful man.
Right.
Okay. I feel like that was the most perfect note theoretically possible to end this on. I could not think of a better way to end this. Listen, I know this is a little bit of a generalization, all right? But most transphobes are sex degenerates, okay? like real sex degenerates. I have found time and time again the only valid, I wouldn't say valid, the only realistic source through which this much hatred can come, like the only way you can be motivated to hate this much is by weird sex shit. Whether it be being a chaser, whether it be having a weird race kink, whether it be like being a cuck. A lot of these conservative types are into like interracial cuckold porn, and so they fearmonger about the real things supposedly happening and that being an issue, I suppose. Like, these people and their fears and what they care about are oftentimes driven by weird latent sexual repression. And you know, I think it's pretty funny because half of their arguments center around the idea that trans people or LGBT people, or hell, if they're really crazy, they'll even argue straight up that black men are just like sexual predators too. They argue trans people are sexual predators. They argue that black men are sexual predators. They'll argue that black women are like sexually aggressive, and that's an argument for racism. Like, they will argue that like sexual predation is a characteristic of any group they want to drum up hatred towards. Haven't you noticed that? You've noticed that, right? Do you guys remember why the first ever gun control laws were introduced in America? Back in like the Wild West days, the first ever gun control laws were introduced in the US specifically and exclusively applying to black people, particularly black men. The reason for this was, along with these bills that banned gun ownership, like, and by the way, this is the time when everybody had a big iron on their hip because, like, you might run into, like, a coyote or a grizzly bear or something, like, walking home. So, like for real, like, frontiersmen conquered this land 30 years ago, like, era is what we're talking about here. The first gun control laws were implemented to disarm specifically black people, and laws also came along with this, specifically criminalizing black men sleeping with white women. The reason they did these two things in particular was so that white men who were afraid that a black man was going to steal their white girlfriend or their white wife could, without much of a fight, lynch a black man in the street. If a bunch of white guys were scared of some black guy fucking their wives because they're insecure about their tiny dicks, now the black guy doesn't have a gun to defend himself when they want to lynch him. That was the whole like groomer or like predator narrative goes back to like racist propaganda too. The same types of people have been arguing the same types of things for a very long time. This is really no different. It's just a new target. That's really all it is. Yeah, they tried to disarm the Black Panthers, too. Yeah. Listen, conservatives have always been super pro-gun, except for when black people want to have guns to defend themselves. In that case, it's like, whoa, you can't arm yourselves to defend yourselves against the things we want to do to you. We only want the white people to be armed. We're trying to prep for a race war here. Come on. We can't say that part out loud, obviously, but, you know, it's why a lot of Republicans are so in favor of gun ownership, but mostly for white people. It's because they think that there's some race war or civil war on the horizon, and they want the whites to be armed, not, like, mostly Democrat voting non-white people to be armed. So, yeah. These people are demons, and you shouldn't trust them. You know, make sure you carry around a little batch of pocket salt. You know, just grab like a bag of salt from your pantry, pour it out into your hand, and put that handful of salt in your pocket. So if you encounter one of these people, you can go, pocket salt! And just, you know, blast them in the face. And if they start steaming, you know they're a demon. Yeah, it gives you time to get away from them, too. That was a good segment. What do you guys think of that one? I'm pretty proud of that segment. I feel like it came out pretty good. Pocket salt is like pocket sand, except it does burning damage. Well, pocket sand will also do burning damage, but pocket salt will do extra burning damage to these demonic beings. Be careful with the salt, it might hit an innocent slug. True. Okay, hold on. I am gonna go grab a water very quick because I'm very thirsty. So I'll be right back, okay? Okay. Whew. I have returned. And I have water. Oh, cold water. Sweet nectar of the gods. You may have to use ID every time you want to log into social media soon. This goes for the whole country, not just Utah. Fuck. That sounds goddamn awful. That sounds really awful. Little Morphine Annie, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to the Trans Armada. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Said, paying it forward to genocide the white names. Hell yeah, do that white genocide. We love it. We love white genocide. We love white genocide. Thank you. Vela Bell, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Says, just a heart. Just a cute little heart. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Let me update the dono goal really fast. Yee. Oh, and let me also read the donos from other platforms. So we got $5 from Trans Ben Shapiro over on YouTube. An hour ago said, trying to become an orbiter, but there's such little time to watch live, but at least 420 blaze it every time you do, though. How's Vosh's garage? How's Vosh's garage? Well, I'm not going to describe anything about where Vosh lives because that would be doxing. Nice try. Anyway, thank you for the $5, though. I do appreciate it. Nice try, though. Zamir Patois, thank you for the €2 I still don't know which are which, just by the little, like, symbol next to them. Said, I have 4 fat, round birds with fat, round bodies. That's fucking awesome. I hope they're quail. I hope I have quail soon. I know I'll have quail soon, but I can't wait for it. I'm just so fucking excited. I have dreams about having quail. I don't know if you guys know this, but I literally dream about it. I'm so excited. Gender Fluids, thank you for the $15 donation. I really appreciate it. Says, Kia Orazan, have you heard about the protests here in Aotearoa against Posey Parker, causing her to flee back to Turf Island? No, I have not. I don't even know what Aotearoa, I don't even know if that's like a fucking, like, Ligma joke or something. I don't even know. But I know that Posey Parker had, like, a counter-protest somewhere, and she freaked out. It's in New Zealand. Oh, that's barely a place. Come on. Middle Earth. I still don't believe that New Zealand is real until I see it myself. The fact that it appears on so few maps is also a good bit of evidence that it's not even real. Have you seen Lord of the Rings and how pretty this New Zealand supposedly is? Have you seen the travel vlogs and how beautiful this supposedly existent New Zealand is? I don't believe that shit's real till I see it. The same goes for Finland. I won't believe Finland is real until I see it. Even then, I might need to meet the government of Finland to believe it's real, because they fake stuff like that. Remember that old... Who saw that old British game show where they tricked a bunch of dumb people into thinking they were going to go into space, and like tricked them into thinking they were flying to Russia in a fake British like Air Force base that they made look like a Russian like space depot. That was cruelty. It was very cruel, but it was quite funny too. Like even that might be all New Zealand or Finland are. They might not be real. You're just getting like sent around in circles for a few hours in the plane, then you land and you're just walking around in a sort of fake Truman Show like set. Have you ever met a Finnish person online? Or a New Zealander online? I haven't. Or in real life, for that matter. For all we know, the ones that do exist online are just bots. I don't know what I'm doing. This is a stupid bit. Anyway, thank you for the $15 $15 gender fluids. I really appreciate it. Heavy Gretel, thank you for the tier 1 gift of sub to Flashy Job. I really appreciate the $5 donation. I'm sure Flashy Job appreciates the gifted sub. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Xander Hall Posey kept saying it was all young shits against her. Then an older queen dumped sauce on her head when she went to New Zealand. Oh shit, that's awesome. For those that don't know, the TERFs refer to like Zoomers as young shits because Zoomers tend to be a lot more pro-trans, and they hate trans people, and so they say, "Oh, these fucking young shits! They're not bigots like us. They're making us look less progressive." Yeah, I know she likes to use that term. I've heard it from a lot of TERFs. Use the term young shits. She doesn't look like she got sauce. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, she did. Holy shit. Oh, that's not coming out easily, is it? Tomato sauce, like, dyes whatever it touches deeply as well. She has a red streak in her hair now, doesn't she? Or at least kind of like an orangish ginger streak there now. She's gonna need to bleach that. She's already got bleach blonde hair, so like she could probably just bleach it out, I suppose. But yeah, that spaghetti sauce ain't going nowhere. Who's gotten some spaghetti sauce on a white shirt and seen like what that does? Is it? Oh. Doesn't it take a while to come out of your hair, though? Ah. Oh. My mom said it was actually quite fitting because you use tomato sauce to remove skunk stink when you get sprayed by a skunk. You wash it, like use that to wash your dog if your dog gets sprayed by a skunk or if you get sprayed by a skunk. So because this woman stinks so much, it's actually quite fitting she got doused with tomato sauce. It might make her smell better. She's a stinky, stinky TERF.
Okay.
Based. Back to TERF Island with you. Be gone. You know what's really funny? I just realized the first trans person I ever spoke to was from New Zealand. That's funny. Turns out I have met a New Zealandish person. New Zealander? Is that the right term? Yeah, New Zealander. New Zealandish. Listen, guys, I'm a little high right now, okay? This stick is strong. The Void Cult Boy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says first ever super chat, but had to tell you there's a Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering crossover set coming. Even Middle Earth maps for the lands in the set. I really don't want to get into Magic the Gathering. That sounds like the kind of rabbit hole that's gonna leave me, like, pussyless and depressed. Xander Hall smoking the dough weed. Listen, if you ever need to find out where the good weed is, you ask trans women, okay? They always know. Trans women and non-binary people love weed, and they always know where the best shit is. Yep, it's true. It's true. They always know where the best plug is. Get into 40k instead. I will say I've gotten a little bit into Warhammer. I feel like I'll get super duper into Warhammer when the Henry Cavill Warhammer show comes out. If that ends up coming out and being good, I'll probably get super into it. Zan be drinking up water. That is how British people talk. They are pretty weird, aren't they, chat? Alright, let me bring up the next topic we have to cover. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about something a little different than what we talk about normally. I guess it's still in line with what I normally discuss, but I usually don't cover this type of video, I guess, because it's kind of crass, but we're going to do it anyway because I think it's important today. I guess I'll rewind a little bit so you guys have a little bit more context. My editor, Cherry, for some reason pulls more engagement on Twitter than me. I don't know why. Their posts are just so much more based than mine. There's nothing I can do about it, and it's just how it goes. More engagement than me. And in line with that, my epic editor ended up getting 36,000 likes on a post quote tweeting a viral Twitter video saying, "Why are men so obsessed with justifying situations of enacting violence towards women?" That's what Cherry said. Just an absolute banger. Look at that. Oh, look at that. 91 quotes. Uh-oh. Ooh, I am scared to click that button. You know what? I'm not even tempted. I'm not even tempted to click that button. Regardless, let's take a look at the video that Cherry was quote tweeting. This video, of course, is 7,000 likes, which is at least less likes than Cherry got on their tweet quote tweeting it. So that's pretty based. But, you know, there's still a fair amount of people who saw this and were like, yeah. So it is a video captioned, "Young girl fuck around, then finds out." It's only 17 seconds long. So let's watch. Let's see what happens.
Really did anything? Okay, go.
Whoa, Joshua, stop!
So, I heard she got med evac'd. Yeah, she had to get carried out, like, to the hospital. Like, she was very badly hurt. Like, he really hurt her. What he probably did was slam her to the ground very hard, and then he started kicking. And that's what we saw when they came around the corner. So, all we know about what happened here, as far as I know, is what we saw in the video, okay? Let's break down what happens here, all right? You've got this girl. She's there holding a drink, and this guy starts approaching her. One thing you'll notice is she's backing up and he's approaching. 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 Like, how many steps has it been now? Has anybody counted the amount of steps back she's taken? Obviously, she's smiling and it seems like a playful situation, but this honestly looks like creepy. Like, this seems like women don't typically douse dudes with a drink after backing up 6 paces from them for no reason because they're just having a joking, friendly engagement. Like, this seems like this is her trying to maintain composure in a, like, scary situation. And yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's possible that, yeah, it's possible the second she dropped the smile, he could have attacked, and that was what she was thinking. Hold on, I get it. Yeah. My mom is now interjecting on my commentary, but I don't know if you guys can hear it, so it's hard. I can't just sit here in silence while she talks because you guys won't hear what she's saying. But yeah, my mom says that she thinks that this young woman was of the mindset that, yes, this is a recent video. Yes, it's very. I get it. Yes, sorry. My mom wants to add bits, but you guys can't hear it through the NVIDIA broadcast. I'm sorry. Anyway, that said, you can edit out that bit, Cherry. That said, what we saw here. Let's count how many steps she took back before she splashed him with her drink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 steps back. 6 paces back before he reaches out into her personal space and she whooshes the drink. Now, I don't know what situation was happening here. By the looks of it, it looks not good. My mom doesn't want to be on camera, so she can't like get close enough to the mic to say her piece. Anyway, the like what it looks like here is like he's reaching for her drink or like being a creep, whatever it may be. It is obvious she doesn't want to be near him. She's backing up and he is aggressing, and she defends a movement towards herself, and he responds to that with the most over-escalation of violence I've ever seen. The fact that he was willing to engage in such over-escalation of violence tells me right away, most likely he was being a creep beforehand. No guy whose response to getting doused by a girl he was reaching for to beat the shit out of her and send her to the hospital, no guy who is like that doesn't go to the bar and act like a creep with women. Like, I'm pretty sure he was being a psycho before it escalated to this. Future cop, real. Like, yeah, anyway, you have a lot of accounts like this. This isn't the only video like this, but there are a lot of accounts like this online that are centered around women, quote-unquote, fucking around and finding out. Now, the incel community has grown significantly in both number and strength in the last few years, and due to that, we've seen a large growth in resentment for women. And because of that, we've also seen a large market in content centered around woman hatred growing, right? So even if it's just Twitter accounts that are like, for example, there's a very popular Twitter account that I featured in one of my tweets recently. It's a gimmick account. I think my tweet was, this is the final evolution of Twitter gimmick accounts. Yeah, here we go. Blacks taking L's at and posting F's is the at. So it's literally just, yeah, there was also one that was called Rape Victims Taking L's as well, which is a pretty big account too. Yeah, this is Elon Musk's Twitter, guys. Elon Musk is doing a really good job of running Twitter. Elon Musk is doing a really good job of running Twitter. Literally joined when Elon Musk acquired the site. Yeah. Cruelty is a virtue to these people, remember. Rape victims, women, trans people, all marginalized groups that the right sees as inferior to them. Cruelty to them and like being as evil and inhuman to them as possible is a virtuous act. It is the greatest of virtues to make a rape victim upset, for example, because they won't outright say it, but conservatives believe rape is a thing that, as long as it's like a grown man raping a girl of frankly any age in their mind, that the man is entitled to that, that is an okay, natural thing. That is their view. They can't outright say it because that's demonic, but, you know, it's very clear that's what they actually believe. Anyway, so we also have this video that I think also gives a little bit of an insight into, I think, the level of, like, entitlement the average conservative has. You guys might not believe me when I say this, but, like, look at this clip and tell me that these people aren't mostly, like, demonic.
I started to notice weird things happening with my kids. So the first one was my eldest son. A few years ago, I said, give me a kiss goodnight or a hug goodnight, whatever. And he went, no, you need to ask my consent. And I was like, do I? And he said, yeah, at school they say you've got to ask consent. And I said, I'm your dad. And he said, yeah, but you still have to ask consent. And I went, okay, we're going to have a little lesson on consent here. Consent is don't touch a stranger's private parts, all right? That's consent. Don't invade someone's space in that part. I'm your father. So anyway, I wrote to school and I said...
So for conservatives, it has been very important to narrow down the definition of... not narrow down, but to broaden the definition... Not quite, but to... non-consent, the concept of non-consent. Conservatives have worked very hard to muddy the concept of that, right? For example, it was pretty clear and I think agreeable that if a woman is very drunk, like really drunk, like blackout drunk, and she seems interested in having sex with you, you should not pursue sex with that woman because she is in an inebriated state and can't consent to a hookup or to, like, sexual engagement. Obviously, there are situations, like, maybe if you're, like, in a long-term relationship and you just drank and you're both drunk and you're like, oh, let's bang, like, that's fine. But, like, if you're at a bar and a girl's blackout drunk and wants you to take her home, you shouldn't do it because she can't, she's not making reasonable decisions, and you should know she's not making reasonable decisions. That's part of what being informed and educated about what consent is, knowing and recognizing when somebody who seems like they're consenting to something isn't and can't. The law agrees with this, by the way, chat. You guys think that, like, a dude can get away with saying, oh, that girl told me she was 18. Like, no. No, that's not how it works. You are responsible for determining whether or not the other party is even capable of consenting in the first place. Them just seeming to enthusiastically consent isn't enough. And I'm not just making this as some lefty, like, argument in favor of whatever. I'm saying this is, like, just to inform people about what won't get them arrested and what will get them arrested, we should be teaching about consent. Like, shouldn't we be teaching about what is and isn't illegal to children? Because I think it's better they know, because ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. That is the rule here in America, at least.
What's going on here? Because he's obviously not understood consent. And they said, well, we don't really get to the sexual part of it until later. And I said, well, you can take it from me. I've just taught both of my children consent, lesson 1.
Wait, I like how he just admitted, he just admitted the entire game there. He let it slip. The kid said, well, we weren't taught about, like, sexual consent. We won't get to that till later. We're just talking about, like, don't keep your hands to yourself. Like, literally all the kid was, like, learned at school was keep your hands to yourself, said that to his dad when he didn't want to be touched, and his dad was like, well, now let me give you the sex talk. Now, and the kid's like, whoa. No, I wasn't talking about sex or anything like that, Dad. Like, we're not learning about that till later. We're just talking about, like, keeping your hands to yourself. Like, it is the parent that made it weird. It's always the homophobic, like, weirdo conservative parent that makes it weird. The kid is almost always more mature about, like, sex or consent or any of these situations when they come home from school talking about it than their own parent is. And their parent is the one that makes it weird. Almost every time, that's how it goes. Isn't it fucking weird that these conservatives, like, project about how, like, these teachers are going to mess up our kids' brains talking about this or that. Meanwhile, like, their kids come home with, like, a decent understanding of the issue, talk to their parents about it, and their parents lose their shit and then confuse their kids. That's always how it goes.
In about 5 minutes. And then, I started going, okay, well, where is this stuff coming from? So it comes out of relationship sex education classes and PSHE and stuff like that. So I got some lesson plans from another school and found out what was on it, which is privilege, skin color privilege, gender ideology.
These evil concepts like diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, all of the things that you just don't want kids being taught at a young age when they're confused as it is.
Okay, so a huge aspect of these people's grift is to claim that children are, like, completely incapable of reason. Like, that if kids are exposed to... Okay, so to be clear, there is no universe in which, like, teaching kids something that is correct or good is bad. No one would agree with that idea, right? So while they can't outright say being trans is bad, or being like equity is bad, or equality is bad, or inclusion is bad, they can't outright say that. They have to say it's a narrative that's being shoved down kids' throats while they're too young to understand it. They're too confused. What the fuck are you talking about? Childhood is when people develop their moral, like, systems. Usually that comes along a little later, but it's usually when you want to start the groundwork for it. This is, like, inarguable, but the right will pretend it's not.
And so I thought, we got to change that. So we're going to do that as well. That's what we're
He, by the way, he literally let it slip earlier in this clip that the classes weren't talking about sex, and they're not going to be getting to that until they're older. Meanwhile, he's trying to drum up this hysteria about how kids are learning this too young. And the kid was, like, super mature about it, and even was like, no, Dad, we weren't learning about sex. It's not till we're older. Like, he let slip that's what the kid said. Why would he have let that slip? Oh, I'm guessing this guy's not as, I guess this guy on trigonometry is not as well-trained of a media demagogue. Like a right-wing media-trained professional, you know?
our next sort of cultural project, which is going to be called Bad Education. We decided to put bad in front of everything.
Yeah, no shit. You guys aren't very creative or smart. Yeah, these people do think the concept of education is bad because the more educated you are, typically, the more progressive you end up being. That's just generally how it goes. I mean, like the data is pretty solid on that, and that's even despite the fact that the more money you make, the more likely you are to vote Republican. Depending on the area. It really depends. A lot of people will make these generalizing statements, but it does depend on the area. Like, if you live in the South, you're more likely to vote Republican if you're poor. But if you live, like, in a more blue state, you're probably more likely to vote Republican if you are rich. Like in LA, for example, like in California, the rich people vote Republican. It's the more middle class, like upper middle class and like lower, like literally working class people that are voting Democrat. All the rich people are voting to lower their taxes. Because, God, taxes in California are insane. You don't even know. Beta Leafy. I appreciate the $5 donation. Says, I'll never forget this one video of a girl who painfully pushed a guy away and he beats the shit out of her. It scared the shit out of me and always replays in my nightmares. Yep. These people are just really disgusting. Like, the reason why I wanted to play the video of the woman getting assaulted and that video next to each other is because even though they're very different clips, I think they give a direct insight into the mind of the average conservatoid, rightoid, whatever you want to call them. These people, on one hand, are trying to destroy the very concept of consent being taught to people as like a value or a virtue that you should uphold, while on another hand, like actively cheering for the assault of women, like for defending themselves by the looks of it, for anything basically, just assaulting women. They cheer it on. These people are monsters. They really are. I don't really... I feel like back during the Gamergate era, back when like right-wing politics was more like Gamergate era-esque, you know, with all the euphemism and dog whistles that they used at the time, it was easier to understand how these people could maybe like not be pure evil, but also say and believe these things. Now, I can't really see it. Maybe it's my fault, but I feel like these people's, like, beliefs have gotten so demonic and so insane and so hateful. They're not, there's no universe in which you can think they're good faith or good people. Is it me, or have they really just gotten that bad? I don't know. Regardless, there's really not much else to say about this. The right has gotten progressively worse and worse. They are genuinely nightmare people, and I don't know what else to say. I guess that's it. How did you guys like that segment? What do y'all think? Very nice. Good. Fucked up topic, lol. Yeah, it is a pretty fucked up topic, but we gotta cover it. Good segment, very rad. Good from what I saw. Good but depressing. Sounds good. Yeah, about right. All right. Little warm in here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this blanket off my legs because, oh no, not the mic cable. There we go. I'm gonna take this blanket off my legs. It's making me a little musty. Informative but sad. That's what all my segments should be. Okay, let me read donos really fast and update the dono goal. The Void Cult Boy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Said first ever super chat, but oh wait, I already read that one. Thank you, I appreciate it. Robin Wieners, thank you for the $6.66. Because I hate counting cent amounts, I'm just going to add the $6. Thank you though, I appreciate it. Based 666 said, it's true, I'm higher than Zan right now. Argy B8. I have no idea what that means, but I don't believe that you're higher than me right now. In fact, if you guys are going to even match me for one hit, you have to, like, for you guys to equate to one hit of this, you have to do 3 blinkers in a row for that to equal one hit of this. I'm not even kidding. This shit is fucking strong. I'll match you with DMT? Oh my god, you'll go to the fucking moon. What are you trying to rip through this plane? You'll fucking die. Alright. Match me if you can. Whew. You've seen me take blinkers, like double blinkers on stream before. You know how strong this shit is for me to have that reaction to such a small hit, okay? This is my endorsement of this brand of vape, okay? If you go to your dispensary and you see these things and you're looking to get fucked up, this is your guy. Is that your cum face? You wish it was, Sophie. All right. Let's see. What is next on the agenda for us to cover today? Wait, I have to update the dono goal first. I almost forgot. I got so caught up in getting blitzed out of my mind that I forgot to enter the new dono goal amount. There we go. Thank you guys so much for the support, by the way. You have been overwhelmingly supportive today, and I really, really do appreciate it. From every one of you who donated, to those of you who are just watching and hanging out in chat, talking, or even just lurking, to every single one of you who hits the like button, I really do appreciate it. You guys are fucking amazing. I love you all very much, and I missed you all a lot while I was away and unable to stream. Donate more so I can buy my Lambo and a Tesla. True! Cherry takes 90% of all of my income, so please consider donating more so I can afford food, and Cherry can afford 15 more Lamborghinis. 50 Bugattis, 100 Lamborghinis, 60 BMWs, 40 Ferraris. I don't know. I'm a bit too stoned now. Oh boy, this is gonna be an interesting one.
Hey everybody,
No! Why would you spoil the topic like that? Come on, man. Alright. Gender Fluids, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Said, will rejoin on my main account when I'm out. Speaking of, weed is great, but have you ever tried estrogen? It's great stuff. I have not tried estrogen before, except for maybe the plant estrogen and soy, which I must admit I'm not a big fan of, as you know, I'm a fake soy boy. I don't like soy, except for maybe that plant estrogen, which apparently turns, like, apparently like isn't real estrogen. I forget what the exact science behind it was. I think H-Bomber Guy did a good video on it, but apparently the plant estrogen in soy just isn't actually, it has the same name, but it's nothing chemically alike to human estrogen. But no, I'm not considering any estrogen. I am considering a bit of more testosterone. Actually, maybe not. I am a bit hairy as it is. Nah. Actually, no. A little more testosterone probably wouldn't do me any good. I'm not a big fan of the body hair that I have. Yeah. The body hair's a bit much. I got that Italian body hair, I guess? I don't know. It's a bit much to deal with. Especially on my chest and stomach. I like to keep it nice and smooth. Like, really smooth. And that requires me to shave that, like, if I want to keep it smooth, every other day. And it's not fun. Not fun. All streamers are low T? I don't know what my T levels are, but they're probably either normal or above normal based on my body hair. If my body hair, sweat, and BO or anything to go on, like, it's probably either normal or above normal. I gotta shower and use lots of deodorant to not fucking sweat like crazy. Oh my god. I sweat like a fucking dog, dude. Well, dogs don't sweat. I sweat like a thing that sweats a lot. I sweat like a being that is entirely made of armpit. Vosh is high estrogen? Nah, I feel like Vosh is high T. Isn't he on, like, T supplements, though? Like, so he's gotta be high T because of that, right? Because he's on testosterone supplements? Didn't he say that? I don't know. That might have been a meme. Horse sweat? He might be covered in horse sweat, that's right. Any updates on the Capybara Quail Kingdom arc? Well, you see, you guys have to donate lots of money, and I have to upload lots of videos and make lots of money, and when we've made lots of money, then I have to make even more money, and then after I've made even more money, I have to make even more money, and then I can rent a permanent residence and build a quail coop, buy an incubator, order some quail eggs, roast those babies up for like a week or two, and then the quail arc starts. That's basically what we have to do now. And there's going to be a lot of really fun IRL content in between now and then, because now I live, like, you know, in the same city as Vosh and Demon Mama and all of them, so we can do IRL content together. I haven't done any yet because I wanted my, like, first experience meeting them all in real life to be not, like, a video or whatever. You know, I felt like that would probably be a better option. You know, not just stream my first time meeting them. That would be really awkward and weird. Whoa, are we laying down life lessons or are we laying down some eggs? We're gonna be laying so many eggs, chat. Zan, did you move apartments again? It's not an apartment, it's kind of, I'll describe it vaguely because I don't want to dox myself and get too specific, even though doxing's not as much of a fear in Seattle. But, it's a cute little, like, Seattle house, like, Seattle-style house. And it's 2 stories, and on the bottom floor is, like, a full, like, big, like, nice house on the bottom floor, and that's where the landlord lives, and there's, like, a little, like a little entrance area that you could, where you go up some stairs, and then I unlock a door and go in that, like, almost like an apartment building area, and that's where my upstairs area is, when the whole upstairs attic has been redone into a, like, one-bedroom apartment, one bed, one bath apartment. It's actually very nice. And so I've got this cool attic thing going on right now. You can see the shape of the room. It's because this is an attic. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's a bit like Asmongold's streaming room, if you think about it. Zan, why did that light turn on? Because there's a room in there. There's not really a real door to that room. It's just sort of a slider thing, but, you know, it's something. Whoa, my room has that ceiling shape. Was my room an attic? Most likely, Gotsukato. If your room is shaped like this, like, it's probably an attic. Especially if it's on a second floor, it was probably a remodeled attic, yeah. I love attic rooms like this. This is, like, my ideal streaming setup. Is that where you keep your girlfriend prisoner? Oh yeah, I've got an entire harem of women in the basement. They're not allowed to leave. Cyclofish, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5. It's very kind of you. Said, been a lurker for a while. Glad to see you're back live. I'm sure you already went over this earlier in the stream, but I hope you're liking the new place. Oh, I do. It's very nice here. It's a very nice place. Thank you for the $5. Gender fluids. I already read that one, didn't I? Oh yeah, I did. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let me update that dono goal really fast. Oh, and Vex the Cat, thank you for the $5 super chat. You didn't even say anything, but I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support today. I really, really do appreciate it. All right. You guys ready for us to start our next segment? Hypers in chat if you're ready. Who's ready? I want to hear some noise. Yeah, there are the hypers. There they are. That's right. That was a good combo. 14x, damn. Hell yeah. All right. Let's get started. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1. Action. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another video. And today, we're going to be reacting to one of Little Joel, aka Big Joel's videos. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in the last couple months, I've actually taken a lot of inspiration from Big Joel's recent videos, and I've started to kind of let loose a little bit more with my content, which I found has made it a lot more enjoyable, like particularly with the phone videos. I don't know if you guys saw the phone videos on my porch or that I made during the road trip with Demon Mama, but the outdoors phone videos are really, really fun, and like, I just kind of let loose with them, and it's a little bit less pressure and less regimented and structured and like serious because there's not chat there distracting me, and I found it was like a lot more fun than my normal content, generally speaking. And you know, I like Big Joel. I like Big Joel's format, and I even took a little bit from Big Joel's format. So with that said, I'm hoping that I like this video because my editor sent it to me, along with a bunch of other people have sent me this and asked me to react to it. They told me I should react to it and, you know, give my thoughts on it because it's about something that I'm somewhat of an expert in. And that topic in question is de-radicalization. The video in question is called De-Radicalization and YouTube, and we're about to watch it, so let's get right the fuck into it. I really hope this doesn't end up being cringe, because I have disagreed with Big Joel before. Not anything too serious, but, you know, I like agreeing with him, and I don't like disagreeing with him.
Hey everybody, so I've always had kind of a trepidation about the concept of de-radicalization. For those who don't know, in like 2017 to 2019, there emerged a group of YouTubers who people started calling bread tubers, and I was one of them. I was to some extent one of them. I was like a D-list bread tuber. And
Nah, that's not true. Big Joel is at the very least a B plus list bread tuber. Like, I would be a D list bread tuber, especially back during that era. Like, I'm a D list bread tuber. Big Joel is not a D list bread tuber. You cannot be past 100k subs and be considered D list as far as left tube standards, okay? Like, the left does not have that large of a presence on YouTube for, like, how many subs does Big Joel have? Just his, like, other channel, like, Little Joel has 102k subs. The Big Joel channel has 602,000. Okay,
hey,
yeah.
everybody.
I'm sorry. Maybe this is just me being bitter, but I've got, like, I can't look at somebody who has 600k subs on their main channel and 100k on their alt channel saying they're a D-list bread tuber and like, take that seriously. I'm sorry. That's B plus list at the very least.
So I've always had kind of a trepidation about the concept of de-radicalization. For those who don't know, in like 2017 to 2019, there emerged a group of YouTubers who people started calling bread tubers, and I was one of them. I was to some extent one of them. I was like a D-list bread tuber. And the main thing about bread tubers, like one of the main sales pitches of BreadTube was de-radicalizing people, making people not radical.
So this is really weird because there are two groups of people who I have found consistently argue there is no such thing as the alt-right rabbit hole, and nobody was de-radicalized from the right, or like I should say pulled away from the right by like left-wing YouTube content. There are two groups who claim this: Nazis and conservatives, and video essayist lefties. I don't know why, but these are the two groups who consistently falsely argue that there is no like alt-right rabbit hole and nobody is getting pulled out of it by like left-wing content having a higher prevalence in that sphere, which to me just seems ridiculous because that's what got me out of it and a lot of other people out of it. And also like getting into politics a lot more over the years, like learning more about it and getting more experienced with politics and the state of things has made it more clear than ever that online culture war issues, the topics that dumbass YouTubers are talking about, are affecting real-world politics more than ever. I don't know if you guys remember, but woke, the term woke, was just something that like right-wing YouTubers were reeing about a few years ago. Now there's things like the Stop Woke Act, and when you watch any mainstream conservative news outlet, they're talking about the new woke this or the new woke that. Like, all the like normies now know what the word woke means because it has perpetrated itself into, or perpetrated, it has precipitated into, out of the internet and into real world politics. It's having more of a real world effect than ever, and that's why I think that the whole de-radicalizing people, whatever you want to call it thing, just creating an environment where people can find arguments in favor of progressive values, that essentially, I think it's valuable. I think it matters, and I think it helps. Maybe not a lot. Maybe it does help a lot. I really don't know, but I know it helps to some extent, and that's what matters to me.
I always hated it. I always hated that. I always saw this claim being made of my work and thought to myself, that ain't true. I'm not de-radicalizing shit. But the thing is, I was never able to put my finger on why I didn't like this word.
I will say, the word de-radicalize is a poor use of language. I don't know if you guys remember, but that the reason why the word de-radicalize is used so much is because of an individual by the name of Caleb Cain. We're going back into some ancient history here, but there was a time after the Christchurch shooting where an individual called Faraday Speaks on YouTube uploaded a viral video talking about how he fell down the alt-right rabbit hole and how he got out of it. In fact, that video inspired me to tell my story because I saw a lot of similarities in what we went through. And for a while, we hung out a little bit after that, but I haven't really talked to him in a really long time. But that's what I remember of the entire ordeal. And he kind of went viral after he posted this video. A bunch of like news outlets ended up interviewing him, and I also got interviewed as well by like the New York Times about this, and like the state of politics on YouTube and how people are falling down these rabbit holes of politics online, and like ending up, maybe they start with anti-feminist content, but then they end up chanting "Jews will not replace us" at Charlottesville, right? That was essentially the idea of the article, and the word that kept on being used in reference to figures like ContraPoints and Destiny, like lefty YouTubers who help pull people out of this, was de-radicalization, de-radicalization, de-radicalize. And that was that word was the word used by that one journalist, and from that point that word has become like the standard word used for like when someone gets unshutted. Essentially, when they stop being, whether it be like they stop being just kind of a chud and become lefty, or like we're a full-on Nazi and then become a lefty. It is a pretty like shitty word to use. Like it just kind of sounds cringe. Rehabilitation is also pretty cringe as well. I'm not a big fan of that either. But like, I think de-chudding is pretty good as well. Just de-chudding.
Until now, until like 5 minutes ago. And then I scrambled up my phone to make this video like a little content weasel. So here's the thing. Whenever
I'm also a content weasel. Let's go.
People talk about de-radicalizing, whenever people claim that work like mine de-radicalize them, I always feel this inner angst inside of me, this ghost that tells me that when people are using the word radical, when they talk about falling down the alt-right pipeline, in many cases, not all, but many cases,
I'm going to predict what he's going to say. In many cases, they were just like kind of like edgy, they were just kind of an edgelord. They were just watching like some feminist owned compilations or like some like really basic stuff, and they call that radical. That's what he's going to say. He's going to point out a very basic and like obvious critique with the word de-radicalization. I think I already made this argument earlier.
What they're talking about is that they, as a 14-year-old boy, watched anti-SJW YouTubers on the internet.
I did not pre-watch this video, by the way, guys. I'm just that good.
Watched a bunch of cringy anti-SJW YouTubers who said a bunch of lame shit about women and minorities, who enjoyed them, who enjoyed how edgy they were, and who were starting to enjoy that sort of thing. And I gotta be honest with you, I think many of the people...
Listen, I'm not trying to be an asshole to Big Joel here. The reason why I was so good at predicting what he was about to say is I felt that too, Like, I have seen when people say, oh, you de-radicalized me, Zan. It's like, okay, you were obviously, like, not even as far right as I was at my worst, Like you were like a little edgy lord, You weren't that, but I just kind of look at that and I go, okay, but I know what they meant, right? And I don't really linger on it. It doesn't bother me that much. I just move on, and I'm happy that like someone changed for the better, right? Like someone changed for the better, and that's what makes me happy. I don't like, it doesn't bother me so much that they use that word. But I get what Big Joel feels. I feel like if you let this bother you that much as a content creator on the left, you are actively hindering the ability that you have to convince people your values are better, whether that be your goal or not. Because I genuinely don't feel like Big Joel makes persuasive content. Well, I'm going to take you guys back to middle school English here, but there are different types of writing, right? And I don't think that the type of speaking that Big Joel does is meant to convince you. I don't think it's like designed to try to convince an audience to agree with what he agrees with, right? I think he makes entertaining content where his values are evident and people end up moving towards his values because through his humor, he effectively argues for his positions. Or at least I should say effectively argues against positions that he doesn't agree with, right? Does that make sense? He does not intend to convince people, but he does it regardless. And I feel like the fact that he's credited for convincing people kind of frustrates him, because it almost puts pressure on him that he doesn't want to have, but it's not that big a deal. It's just you do the stuff that you're doing, that you've always been doing, and people are going to be moving away from the right and more towards like more progressive values. It's just kind of how it is, as long as you make good progressive content, I guess.
For whom this is the case, they just kind of grew up. They just kind of grew up. One day, they looked at Sargon of Akkad and they said,
okay, so I've said this a lot, and I agree in part with what Big Joel is saying here. In part. A lot of the shit that you see online, like a lot of the Nazis you see online are edgy 14-year-olds that are going to grow out of it in a few years. But when I say they're going to grow out of it, I don't mean like they're going to grow up and that's automatically going to make them stop believing that. Because, hey, newsflash, there's a lot of adult Nazis and reactionaries out there. Turning 18 and losing your virginity or whatever doesn't automatically 100% fix that problem. For many, it may. Experience and just growing up, meeting new people, getting a girlfriend, losing your virginity, that these things for a lot of people will move them away from the crazy conservative values that are so popular now. However, generally speaking, there needs to be more. Time doesn't equal growth. Time plus experience equals growth. And ideally, those experiences wouldn't be watching more reactionary content. They might grow out of Sargon of Akkad or anti-SJW owned compilations and move on to Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh. Those shows are much more dry and boring, meant for an older audience, like late 20s and whatnot, like podcast kind of listeners, right? It's very clear that these people have a large audience and a large pool in a, older demographic. Because they can still keep those people in this mindset as they get older if those people aren't exposed to contrary ideas. It's why they fight so hard against Zoomers getting a college education. They're so afraid of even conservative Zoomers being exposed to progressive values in college that they might, change their mind like any reasonable person would when exposed to the truth.
Said, oh, this guy is the stupidest man I've ever seen in my life. Oh, this man is the absolute dumbest human being I've ever seen in my life. And what's more, he's very lame. Like, he's lame and dumb. And you saw that. You were mature enough to see this fact about him. And then you stopped being into it. You stopped being into it. It was a phase. It was a phase where...
You guys can go back and look at both... if you want to go back and look at the famous Faraday Speaks, How I Fell Down the Alt-Right Pipeline and Got Out video, you can go watch that. And you could also watch my video that I made. Either one, it doesn't matter. Both of them, you will find that we both said, yes, our belief in these values was starting to get shook by certain experiences we were having. But it took someone who is competent at arguing for progressive values coming along and being exposed to us to make us change our mind. For example, I realized that No Bullshit was kind of a dumbass. And you know what I did? I started seeking out content debunking No Bullshit. And that was a step that started to lead me towards LeftTube and consuming that content. And I might not have pursued, getting out of that content or I might have just stopped watching him and watched someone else who says the same shit just in less of a dumbass way. Instead, I found a pretty hardcore debunk of the values that he holds that made me think. And that had to compound multiple times to actually really pull me out of these values. It's not just growing up that pulls you out of it. It's experience. Xanderhall, people's thoughts are only as good as the quality of language they have access to. Very, very well put, Somniostatic. That was very well worded.
Where you were watching YouTube content. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. I'm not trying to illegitimize anybody's political story. I'm not trying to tell you that you're worse.
But that is a little weird that he said that you were watching YouTube content. Like, Nick Fuentes was on YouTube. Like, there are people on YouTube who are watching Nick Fuentes and getting inspired to go to the next, rally he's going to do for America First. Like, That's pretty radicalized.
Or a shitty person because you liked Gamergate in 2016. Like, yes, obviously that sucked. But we can get over that. We can get over that together. But my problem with the narrative of de-radicalization is that it almost causes us to legitimize these political identities. That it treats a 14-year-old boy who is surfing 4chan and watching Sargon of Akkad and Teal Deer as like a real legitimate, meaningful political identity.
Okay, this argument I feel like might have held more water 3 years ago. Like, he listed, like, one of the examples he listed there, like, Sargon, I guess he's sort of relevant, I guess, kind of. He's rebranded and has sort of a relevant platform with that rebrand. But, like, Teal Deer, I don't know if he even makes content anymore. That's, like, an OG anti-feminist channel. Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't think at this point, like, this feels so out of date, you know? Like, I get it. I get that it's just a rant video and he's just expressing his feelings, but like the whole de-radicalization era of LeftTube, that was 2019 to 2020 at the latest, you know? I feel like that's all done. You know, no one's talking about that anymore. The left doesn't give a fuck about de-radicalization or convincing people anymore. It is actually a relatively small and unfortunately quiet, group of the left or majority of the left. A small majority. It feels like, yeah, a small majority. I mean that. I meant to say that. It feels like a small, quiet majority of the left that, cares about people moving over to the left these days, you know? There's a smoke screen of loud woke scolds and tankies that have tried to make the left this cringy social club that have made the left look very repellent to the average person, even to a lot of the left itself, you know? How many times have you seen, like, let's check Twitter. Oh boy, another psyop. Oh boy, people are falling for it. I'm just not going to go on Twitter today. How many times has that happened to you? Hypers in chat. Come on. Be honest. I wake up and there's another psyop, exactly.
And it isn't one. If it didn't add up to anything, if you just had some shitty thoughts from YouTube videos that you saw, that's what happened. That's what happened to you. And I worry that this narrative of
that's not very, it's not really, that's kind of a mouthful, you know? Isn't that kind of a mouthful? I feel like fell down the alt-right rabbit hole is a pretty concise way to word it. It's very recognizable too.
Radicalization toward the right followed by de-radicalization kind of causes us to not just be able to sit with the fact that in our past, when we were teenagers, we were just cringe little guys. You were just a cringe guy who liked.
Sure, but there are tons of teenagers out there on the internet that aren't cringe, that hold progressive values and are in fact in Big Joel or even my audience and are completely decent people, and they're in fact watching my content most likely because they hold the values that, I argue for. Many of them are LGBT. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think saying, oh, young people are just idiots, whatever, is a good excuse for, hey, I think we should maybe, care about making particularly young people online more open to progressive values. Like, maybe they should not immediately be bombarded with right-wing propaganda the second they get online. Like, maybe there should be some progressive values out there for them to see. Just maybe. Maybe.
Cringy content and made edgelord jokes and sucked ass. That's what you were. For some of you, that's.
I wasn't expecting him to downplay radicalization at all, TBH, lol. Well, like, I think a lot of, as I said at the beginning of the video, the two groups of people who always claim the alt-right rabbit hole isn't real or, like, basically implicitly say it's not are Nazis and alt-righters and you like BreadTube video essayists. Those are the two groups that like most incessantly argue there's no such thing as the alt-right rabbit hole, or at least imply it, you know? I don't know why, but those two particular groups are so goddamn, like, hell-bent on that argument.
That's what you were. On some level, you just gotta live with that now. You gotta own that part of yourself, everyone does. That 14-year-old inside of you who's just sucked ass, who everyone hated, and who you hated yourself, everyone hated you, and you hated...
I think that people talking about being de-radicalized have accepted it if they're talking about it and saying they were wrong, and now they changed their mind and now they hold correct values. That this feels so pretentious. Why do so many lefty like video BreadTube people fall into this trap of just coming off as pretentious assholes to anybody who, one, was once conservative and then is not, or two, is conservative and may be considering not being conservative anymore? Like, imagine stumbling across this video if you're like 60% of the way to getting out of the right-wing shithole and into the left. Like, can you imagine, like, you stumble across this video when you're like 60% of the way out? Skill issue? Jeez.
Yourself, you were lame and everyone hated you, and that's the truth, because you sucked. Because you sucked then. I am genuinely happy and moved when I see people developing politically in certain ways because of things I say. And again, I'm not trying to shame anybody in my audience, but it...
I don't feel like he's trying to, but it does come off that way. Remember, I like Big Joel. I don't dislike Big Joel, and I don't want to come off too harsh here because I like Big Joel. But like, it does come off that way. You know? It does. It does kind of seem like you're judging.
At some point, I really think it does benefit us to be able to sit with ourselves and say, I wasn't going on some big political journey. I sucked. I sucked.
I feel like a lot of people who've told their stories of getting out of this have discussed the fact that they were close to either harming themselves or someone else. Like, the particularly viral stories about this came from people who were like close to like acting on these values and were pulled out of it. Particularly, I forget what his name is. Daryl Davis, I think his name is. He was he's the guy who's famous for de-radicalizing the Klan members. Is that his name? Daryl Davis? I know he had the name Daryl cuz Daryl from The Walking Dead. I like that name. Does anybody know the name I'm talking about? He was a phony? Wait, he was? No. Wait, are we talking about the right person? Okay, regardless. Like, when you look at most of the videos where somebody tells their story of how they got de-radicalized from the far right, you know? Whether you hate the terminology or not, right? They'll usually discuss the fact that they were close to doing something about it. Hell, look at the manifestos of the ones who did do something about it. How many manifestos have you seen me or Vosh or somebody else live stream, read, and cover reading a Nazi mass shooter or a Nazi mass killer's manifesto where they talk about how their eyes were open to the problem that was happening because of YouTube content? Hell, the Christchurch shooter literally named his manifesto The Great Replacement, which is a conspiracy theory that was popularized by Lauren Southern, who's a YouTuber. Like, I just, hey, dude, come on. There are some people who are going a little further than just being, kind of sucking when they're 14, you know? Like, someone who kind of sucks at 14 might really suck when they're 18, you know? Hell, they might really suck when they're 15. How old was Kyle Rittenhouse? How old was Kyle Rittenhouse? 17, was it? 16? I don't remember. Was it 17 when he did the thing? I don't remember. 17. Yeah. They might suck when they're 14 and then really suck when they're 17.
ass. I think there's power in that. A power that is not caught by the word de-radicalize.
So cool.
Wings has had every.
Whoa, come on, don't autoplay, YouTube. All right. Yeah, so I don't agree with most of what was said in that video. I know that Big Joel isn't trying to really argue for anything. Like, Big Joel just kind of makes rant videos, essentially. Like, that's all that he really tries to do, and he's just kind of expressing how he feels. But I feel, you know, I'm just expressing how I feel, you know? And while I do hope that people are, you know, primarily, I hope that people are entertained by my content. My secondary priority is that people are convinced by my content to adopt not exactly my values, but values that are more morally good than the ones they hold currently, right? Does that make sense? I hope if Big Joel sees this video, he doesn't feel like I like went too hard or like I was an asshole or anything, because I really like Big Joel. I don't know if he likes me particularly well, but you know, if he doesn't know who I am, I would hate if this is his first interaction with me or like his first introduction to me, and it was like me ripping his video apart. But like, listen, I like his content. You know, it's disappointing to see so many content creators that I like on the left adopt this mindset that's so unproductive to anything the left stands for or any progressive should value. Anyway, that's really all I have to say. How did you guys like this segment, guys? What do you guys think? Very good. React meta? True. True. We love the React meta. We love the React meta. Let me get the next segment ready. Oh my god, it's TikTok. God damn it. I hate TikTok UI. I hate TikTok UI. I hate TikTok UI. Alright.
Alright, guys.
No! Shut up.
Alright, guys.
No! And... Actually, we've got it right here, so we can just watch it right here. That works just fine. Perfect. Okay. Whew. All right. Alrighty, everyone. You guys know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So, you know, I do a lot of talking about trans rights on my stream. You know, do a lot of videos dunking on transphobes, a lot of videos arguing in favor of, like, trans affirmative care and, you know, respecting trans people's identities and all that good stuff. All those objectively morally correct positions. But I'm not really, you know, tuned into the trans community all that much. Certainly more so than the average person, maybe even the average progressive, but, like, I am still a cis guy, and I don't really make it my hobby to, like, I'm not like a what's the word for it, an enthusiast of the trans culture, I guess, you know what I mean? I don't watch, like, RuPaul's Drag Race or, like, eat hot chip and do drug like all trans people do. I don't know. No, in all seriousness, I'm not very, like, tuned into the trans culture, generally speaking. So up until recently, I had no fucking idea who Dylan Mulvaney is. But apparently she's fucking famous as hell. like a really massive figure, like within a certain part of the LGBT community. Now, apparently she's literally like spoken to Joe Biden about like trans affirming care and like protecting trans people from it getting banned and stuff like that. Like she's actually like so famous she's been able to go to the White House, and like she did Broadway too. But a lot of lefties don't like her because, you know, apparently she's kind of cringe. Like from what I hear, she's kind of a cringe theater kid type, and a lot of her TikToks are, well, let's just say even I'll admit this isn't my cup of tea. You know, I can see why I haven't heard of this woman, because her content isn't exactly my up my alley, to say the least. Let's take a look.
I am Eloise. I am 6. I'm a city child. I live at the Plaza Hotel, which is huge and wonderful and très elegant, especially at Christmas time. I am Eloise.
So, now, my take on this TikTok is, wow, this is very cringe. This is cringe, you know? It's cringe, but I let it roll off me like water, because why should this upset me? There's really nothing here to be upset about. Now, we're going to get into what people are upset about, but I'm going to just go ahead and say, I'm going to preface the argument that we're going to have to respond to in a minute with my counter argument. How many times have you seen cis women on TikTok lip syncing songs sung by kids from movies? I've seen it plenty. It's a fairly popular trend. Nobody calls it weird when a cis woman does it. No one loses their shit when a cis woman lip syncs a song from a kid's movie sung by a kid on TikTok. It's a TikTok trend. That's all I'm going to say, all right? Nobody cares when a cis woman does what was done here. There are, in fact, plenty of very popular internet figures who are cis women that have built a career on this, in fact. However, this clip went a little bit viral because while many people on the left don't like Dylan Mulvaney because she's cringe and don't really want to defend her because she is cringe, the most bottom-feeding ghouls on the right have taken this as an opportunity to attack this, you know, trans figure who has a very large audience and a lot of influence in a community that, like, a lot of people in this sphere just don't really care about, so they just look the other way, I guess. So here we have Ollie London quote tweeting this with saying, Dylan Mulvaney pretending to be a little girl is very creepy. Dylan has been pretending to be a girl for over a year now and is being celebrated by the liberal media. Over 3,600 likes. Hypers in chat if you don't know who Ollie London is. Who doesn't know? Does anyone here not know? Let me show you guys what Ollie London was up to. Let's look at what Ollie London was up to a year ago.
How's it going, everyone? As you know, I am the biggest BTS fan. And you know what? I forgive them for unfollowing me on Twitter. It was 3 years ago. I don't even use Twitter anymore. I forgive. Jungkook, I forgive. So
just watch.
And you might think, Felix, how can you be the biggest BTS stan? Because I understand BTS, okay? But there's one BTS stan that might have me trumped. And that is, of course, the one, the only, Ollie London. Ollie's been posting a lot lately. Ollie's been very busy. There's a message for Dr. Phil.
So I've just completed my transition to look Korean, to look just like Jimin. This, I think, is my final procedure. So I'm so happy to share this with you, even though you're probably going to be so mad at me. Like, I know you're going to go crazy at me next time you see me, just because you told me not to do anything. You told me to love the real me, love the real Ollie. And I did take your advice for like a year, but then I kind of just changed my mind. So please don't be mad at me, Dr. Phil, but I'm so happy to have transitioned from British to Korean. I'm now.
So that is what Ollie London was up to a year ago. For those of you guys who are unaware, Ollie London has since become a conservative detransition grifter who is now claiming that the left pushed him into becoming trans Korean BTS stalker, Jimin stalker, and that was not the case. Pretty much the entire online left and the trans community was dunking on Ollie London like crazy. So just to be clear, the grift is open to all those who are willing to hop on board, apparently. That said, though, this is just one example of the bottom-feeding ghouls who are going after Dylan Mulvaney, but there are also larger, more sinister figures going after as well. Another very well-known grifter, somebody who I think we can say with literally as much certainty as we said it with Ollie London is also a grifter, Candace Owens, has also decided to declare war on Dylan Mulvaney. Let's go ahead and watch what she has to say.
All right, guys, jumping in to another video.
Oh my God, that's loud. Jesus.
That I saw over the weekend of Dylan Mulvaney. I keep covering Dylan Mulvaney because it's so obvious that Dylan Mulvaney is a pervert. And we used to have a society where we would acknowledge that someone was perverted and we would do everything that we could to keep that perverted person away from people that are vulnerable, especially children. And I can
For those of you guys that don't know, every 4 or so months, I do a video updating you guys on all the evidence that Candace Owens is a grifter. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's an active thread. There's a particular website that has a thread updating every once in a while, adding new evidence with receipts and everything. And I mean real receipts. Some of them are court records and shit like that, of evidence that Candace Owens is a grifter. For example, one of my favorites is that Candace Owens claims that the left are that the left are a bunch of lazy slobs who are anti-landlord, and that they're being anti-landlord is because they just hate people who are able to make a good living, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, one of her ex-landlords who is able to prove this came forward showing that she had completely scammed them, based by the way, and purposefully left it covered in roaches, didn't pay any rent, left it trashed, it was full of roaches, disgusting. So that was one example. Another really good one is Candace Owens nowadays claims that the I think it's the NAACP hates black people and it's bad for black people, and the concept of hate crimes or suing for a hate crime or suing for discrimination or anything like that is a fake, not real, it's a scam or whatever. Turns out she got the help of the NAACP to sue her school back in the day for racial discrimination for a cash settlement. There's a bunch of other stuff like that with records of all of it, and I mean real fucking records, the kind of shit you can't fake because anybody can go look it up because it's public on government websites and everything, that kind of shit. So the amount of evidence that Candace Owens is just a grifting piece of shit is enormous. So I just know that going into this, that you're just watching the propaganda of somebody who only cares about getting people to watch her videos and make her money.
say that there is probably no one that I trust least around children than men that want to dress up like little girls. So here,
But by the way, what she means here, obviously here she's trying to do the Dylan Mulvaney is like a pedo thing. That's what she's trying to argue. But Candace Owens has openly said she thinks any trans woman is a man who is a pervert for trying to dress up as a woman, in her words. So it doesn't, even outside of the context of her being dressed in a young looking way, even outside of that context, Candace Owens would still have the same position. That's the funny thing.
is a video of...
To be clear, whatever you find yikesy about the video, Candace Owens and her audience find the fact that she's trans to be the most yikesy thing out of anything in that video, which is a problem.
Dylan dressing up as Eloise in New York City. Eloise, you guys know, the girl who goes to New York City and lives in the Plaza Hotel.
I don't know. Is this before my time? I'm 23 years old. Chat, tell me if this is before my time. I'm assuming Eloise is like a Disney movie or like a kid's movie of some kind. That's what I assumed when I heard the song. It's a book? Well, clearly it's not just a book. Kids' books? 1900s. Okay.
Take it away, Dylan.
I am Eloise. I am 6. I'm a city.
Are we watching the TikTok again? How many times do we have to watch the TikTok? Isn't this going to be copyrighted? All right, whatever.
I live at the Plaza Hotel.
Reminder that Dylan is an almost 27-year-old grown man, and he dresses up.
Man, the mask has really fallen off with transphobia these days, hasn't it? Like, do you remember back when like the transphobes would when they would like at least respect the gender identity of the trans people they liked? Like Blair White, for example. They'd respect Blair White's gender identity and call her a woman. Do you guys remember those days? Now they want to like have you seen Blair White like engaging with any of these people lately? I don't think they'll talk to her. I don't think they'll have her on. Like, I think they've literally moved to the point where they don't want to have any useful, like, trans people pushing their narrative anymore. At least people like Candace Owens don't. When they're at the point where they're just calling all trans people, like, all trans women, actually, like, men who are dressing up as women. Like, when it's gotten to this point, Candace Owens never respected Blair White. That's true. I think they've always hated each other. But to be fair, like the sphere that Blair White is in, like the Daily Wire sphere in particular, even they were like somewhat cool with like certain trans people that were towing the line for a while, you know? They were passive aggressive and condescending, but not in the same way. Not in the like outwardly hateful way they are now.
In little girl clothing, he talks openly about the fact that he wants to be a little girl. He doesn't say, this is my first day of being a woman, right? This is something even more disgusting. This is my first day of being a girl. He outwardly fetishizes about being a little girl. He wants to be a little girl, a grown man.
Well, she said girl, not little girl.
In a righteous society, we would all condemn this. We would say this is unacceptable. We would say that this perversion is not something that we are.
Jesus Christ, can we just edit the fucking, like, swastika armband on her? This is just a fucking Nazi speech. Dude. Like, being a black conservative really has given, like, just the perfect ground for the most insane Nazi speeches. We've got, like, Kanye West doing, like, his I Love Hitler speech. We've got Candace Owens literally in her literal Sith Lord drip, her Sith lady. What would it be? What are Sith Lord equivalent women called? They wouldn't be Sith ladies. They'd just be Sith Lords, right? What is the term? Chat, any Star Wars nerds? I need your help. Help me make this roll off the tongue well. I know one of you guys in chat has to be a massive Star Wars nerd. Lord is general neutral? Sithette? Sith Dame? Okay, whatever. In her Sith Lord garb here. Like, oh, Jesus.
Are going to accept. But we don't live in a righteous society. And I'm tired of saying, by the way, that the world has gone insane. It is specifically Western civilization, okay?
Wait, does anyone have the clip of Candace Owens saying that Hitler didn't do anything wrong until he left Germany? She specifically said that where Hitler went wrong was when he expanded outside of Germany and started attacking other countries. Not the Holocaust, where he was executing like tons of people within his own country. Not that, no. It's when he started doing it to the rest of Europe. That was when it became a problem. Does anyone have that clip? I would love to see it.
It is specifically America that allows this, because I don't.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Somniostatic.
Thank you.
Oh, she did it like, oh yeah, it was on C-SPAN too.
Mr. Chair. Miss Owens, I'm sorry. We just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Liu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee.
Oh, they played a recording.
Candace Owens.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking.
Okay, here we
I'm
go.
gonna play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have...
By the way, there's no such thing as national social... You can't say someone was a National Socialist. A National Socialist is a Nazi. That was just a jumbling of words the Nazis made up. And Nazi is like a shorthand for National Socialist. It's just a jumble of words they made up to make their ideology sound like something that made sense and might be palatable to the working class. Like, Hitler was not a National Socialist in the sense that that is an ideology, outside of the idea that he was a Nazi. That's what he was, not a National Socialist, because that's what conservatives say when they want to, not say the word Nazi for some reason. He was a Nazi, right? National Socialism is Nazism. There is no nationalized socialism. That's not a real... group of people that exists, a thing that people are striving for as far as I'm aware. Socialism and nationalism don't tend to go together very well, from what I can tell, considering one is inherently not reactionary and the other is inherently reactionary. Nationalists do not tend to be in favor of the working class. That's just how it tends to go. Yeah.
Things run well, okay, fine. Problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hershinoff.
Yeah, there we go. So she complains about the clip and whatnot, but yeah, she's an interesting character.
I don't even think in parts of South America this would be allowed. I don't think they would allow this behavior in parts of South America.
I like how she implies, I don't even think in those shithole countries in South America they'd allow this degenerate trans shit. Like, okay, Candace, Jesus. We can hear it in the tone of your voice. God damn.
They would say it is not normal for a grown man to want to wear little girl panties. It'd be that simple. Something we should all be able to say. Rather,
was she wearing little girl pants? I think she was just wearing an outfit that's adult size. It wasn't undersized on her, as far as I could tell. I think it was an adult, woman size outfit. I mean, they make those, so yeah. Why is she concerned with this TikTok person's underpants? Because all of these people are fucking weirdos, Heavy Gretel. All these people are fucking weird. Transphobia does not come from a good place inside of anybody.
I have to be careful, because Western civilization has gone so down the drain. I have to be careful in how I say that, or else I will risk being called a transphobe.
I like the cluttering of her hands touching the lapel mic, by the way. I call trans women grown men who are delusional degenerates, and people might call me a transphobe. I have to be careful, otherwise people might call me a transphobe. Jesus Christ. My favorite thing about, because conservative propaganda is never honest, my favorite thing is when they refuse to honestly state what the left believes. They can't even, meaningfully engage with the concept of transphobia because that means they have to admit they are that. And they don't want to be an anything phobe because that's kind of a dirty word.
Unbelievable. A transphobe. Why would I have hate for this individual?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and explain a basic fundamental value of conservative content. I've said it a few times. Conservatives view hatred and cruelty towards minorities as a virtue. The left too, but mostly the minorities the left like generally like advocates for. Cruelty towards minorities is a virtuous act among the right. So to sort of smugly look at the mic after going on like a really hateful rant and then say, and then they want to call me a bigot. A bigot. How could they call me a bigot? Like, it's the most evil fucking shit. And the reason why they do that, they bust out their evil DreamWorks face when they after they've just contradicted themselves in a way that's meant to, like, it's meant to upset, like, a trans person watching it or whatever. Like, that's the point, right? It's meant to upset as many trans people who might watch it as possible. The intent is sort of this smug wrongness that just... It frustrates you. It's designed to frustrate someone who's progressive or someone who's trans. That's what it's intended to do, because upsetting people who are trans is a virtuous act to them.
I want this individual to stay the hell away from my children. I don't hate them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all
Jesus Christ. Okay.
the time that we have for today. As you know, we have a lot of exciting content coming up on Daily Wire Plus. So if you want to...
I like how a third of this video is just her shilling. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, here's how I want to finish this off discussing. Dylan Mulvaney is certainly kind of cringe. The content that she makes is certainly not up my alley. It's not my, my cup of tea. But I want you guys to think back to, like, the feminist YouTubers during the Gamergate era, who you think back on as having been, like, kind of cringe but completely harmless, and realize the amount of, like, harassment they got is something that you just, like, you feel so bad for now. And you wish you could go back in time and, like, undo it, I feel like we're seeing the same exact thing now happen to Dylan Mulvaney. Like, overall, she seems like a decent person who's doing good things, but is just kind of, cringe. And much of the left are just kind of saying, too cringe to defend, while the right just tears her apart. Why do these companies sponsor the Daily Wire and whatnot? Yeah, a lot of the very popular companies you'll see sponsoring YouTubers also sponsor the Daily Wire and these hate channels. You can stop that by emailing the sponsors and, like, starting shit on social media, but the left isn't very good at, like, coordinating things like that, despite the fact it objectively works. Though if you do pull that off, then you'll get a lot of shit from normies and conservatives for being, like, for targeting sponsors or whatever. Like, you could literally target Nick Fuentes' sponsors, and you would get shit from, like, drama YouTubers for it. But yeah, anyway. With all that said, I think that the left needs to be more empathetic to Dylan Mulvaney. From what I've seen of her, she's not really doing anything bad, just kind of cringe, and the right are attacking her with some of the most disgusting and vitriolic things you can possibly imagine. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and have a good one. What do you guys think of that segment? I think it came out pretty good myself. I think I did pretty good myself. I'm glad to hear it, chat. Let's see this. This is gonna be a lot of tabs I have to open, chat. Pray for me. Oh. Okay. Ah, there we go. I love having a TMJ disorder. I love having a TMJ disorder. I don't know if you guys, if I've talked about this on Twitter yet or not, but I have TMJ, like a TMJ disorder, particularly in my right jaw, and my entire life it's always locked up if I move it too much, like talking, eating, drinking anything too cold, anything like that, right? And it kind of locks up and gets kind of tight over time, and then eventually, if I'm lucky and I do the right movement with my jaw, like this kinda, I would be able to pop it. And it would be like a very high-pitched, deep pop right around here, I guess you could say, like deep in here. And a little bit up into here, I'll feel it. It kind of like travels down here, right? And it just loosens everything up and it feels amazing. But the problem was that every time I'd pop it, some days I'd wake up and my jaw would be locked up and I could pop it with 2 tries. And then some days it would take me like all day of trying, like doing this, to pop my jaw and like get it to loosen up. Recently, I discovered a new method that has consistently made my jaw pop in a really satisfying way, like in 2 or 3 tries, and it's amazing. Basically what I do is, unlike doing this, what I would do before to try to pop my jaw, instead I do this. I know it looks funny, but like going more for a side motion, like a much more deep side motion and really pushing for it, has consistently been working like crazy. And it feels great to not have my jaw locked up like 60% of the time, you know? Cow eating grass, true! Regardless though, it really helps with my TMJ issue, and I've been a big fan of it, you know? It's nice to not have pain in my jaw all the time. Anyway, with all that said, are you guys ready for the next segment? Because I sure am. By the way, if you want to support my stream, and you like what you're watching, and you want to support your favorite YouTuber, in fact, then please consider dropping a like on my stream over on YouTube. It really does help a lot more than I think you guys realize. It forces YouTube to push my content out to more people. You can also donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on my website, as well as follow my social medias, linked down in the description below. Zan, what is this music? This is actually a lo-fi remix of the Hightail soundtrack. Hightail isn't out yet, but they've already released a lot of the soundtrack, so people have, not a lot of the soundtrack, but a fair amount of it, and so people have done remixes of it, particularly this one by Slamma, and yeah, it's a dope-ass Hightail lo-fi remix. It's cool. Alright. Let's get into the next segment. Alrighty. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, everybody. So, the other day, my editor sent me this Twitter thread. It's actually a series of screenshots of a Twitter thread for me to read and react to. Now, I haven't looked at it before, but I have seen the discourse around it. I've seen people dunking on and making fun of this thread and, like, turning it into a meme a bunch. So I know the reaction to it has been, you know, pretty negative overall, but also very funny. Very, very funny. But I'm excited to actually find out what the joke is all about, so I fully understand it. But I'm not really going to dawdle much, so let's just get right into it. So this individual called Stevie P tweeted, "Not many people know this, but 12 years ago, I wrote a children's book. It sat in the vault, unreleased, for over a decade before I commissioned at House of Decline to illustrate it for me. For the first time ever, I present You Are Not Special." A children's book. Okay, let's see what this is all about then. There are billions of people like you. Okay. Many of them are smarter than you. That's fair. A little bit harsh to tell to a kid, but fair. More creative too. Okay. Some people are good at math. All right. Some people are good at making music. Are good at neither. Anything you can do, someone else can do better. Your opinions are not unique. Everything you know about life you stole from someone else. Most of it is wrong anyhow. You could make a difference, or bring a smile to someone's face. But probably not. No one will remember you after you die. Because you are not special. So, this is basically just the most, like, soy Reddit cringe shit I've ever seen. There's definitely some truth to some of the things said there, and if worded better, could probably make a kid that feels like they're an underachiever feel better. But it's very clear the intent of this book was just to be like an edgy, mean, cruel, like nihilistic edgelord Reddit moment, you know? And as you can imagine, the tweets in question did not get a lot of likes. Who would have thought? A lot of people saw this and were like, that's pretty fucking cringe. For example, great book, Steve. I'm going to go kill myself now. Literally accumulating more likes than the entirety of the thread combined. The entire, all those tweets in that thread combined don't have as many likes as this post saying, great book, Steve. I'm going to kill myself now. Thumbs up. This man wrote an entire book, and it got less likes than a guy who wrote a single sentence with an emoji at the end. Thank you and please don't. That is a pretty funny reply, though, to be fair. That either this person is very not self-aware or can play, at least has a little bit of self-awareness and can play with the joke, you know? If you say shit like, we're just meat sacks and God complexes on a spinning rock, I'm fucking stealing something out of your house. God, this is so true. I'm so happy that people are starting to wake up to the reality of philosophy cucks, okay? These soy Reddit atheist fucking fedora tipping assholes do not deserve even the slightest bit of respect. In fact, not only do they not deserve respect, they don't deserve peace, okay? If they exist online, their existence should be nothing but bullying, alright? I want to be very clear about my opinion on this. In Minecraft. Nihilist when I hold them at gunpoint. Suddenly life does matter. I don't know why, but the image attached to it is so fucking good. But, like, the fact that it's so zoomed in and low quality, too, makes it so much better. Like, you can see you can count the fucking pixels in this. You can unironically count the goddamn pixels, dude. Oh my god. Dude, it's so cringe. It's like the nihilistic, like, Reddit atheist shit is so cringe. Oh my god, I feel like I've seen something that's a perfect showcase of this mindset. I feel like there was something. There was like this viral video that went, like, everybody was shitting on. That was a perfect example of this. Does anybody remember? It was like a year ago. It was a similar situation to this too, but I don't remember the details. Cringe South Park philosophy? Maybe it was that. You know, that was that. Hold on. Yeah, it was the South Park clips trending on Twitter. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I guess I can't really show it because then I'll get copyrighted because, you know, South Park, you know, it's a show on TV, and if I play a clip of that on stream, like, the copyright gods will come down on me like Thor's hammer. You know, that out of the way. Like, I guess I'll just describe it. Have you guys seen these cringe posts on Twitter made by these, like, conservative gimmick accounts where it's like a clip from South Park where, yes, while South Park is very cringe with their politics, ironically enough, it's usually from an episode making fun of people who believe what that conservative believes, but they clip something out of context to make it look like the episode agrees with them and say, man, South Park is taking on the gender bathroom issue or whatever. You've seen that, right? You guys have seen it? I'm not the only one? Because I feel like my timeline on Twitter has been flooded with this shit. Is it just me, or has South Park done, like, irreparable maybe not irreparable, but pretty bad damage to, like, an entire generation of Zoomers, you know? Like, I feel like South Park was made for Gen X and Millennials. Maybe not even Gen X, but mostly for Millennials. South Park was made for Millennials, and without the context that listen, I'm just gonna give like my little analysis of South Park here because it's a very nihilistic show, and I think it ties into this type of mindset, right? I feel like when South Park came out, it was very subversive, and it made, when it did do political or social commentary, it was very biting, and its satire and irony was very good, generally speaking, when it first came out. Because it was, millennials were the generation consuming it for the most part, right? And that generation had the context of society at the time in mind going into these episodes of South Park. They knew it was being parodied. They knew it was being discussed. They knew what positions at the core the creators of South Park held early on. South Park has normalized anti-Semitism since 1999. That's true, but not intentionally. But like, what it really seems like is as we get into like the modern day, the creators of South Park will attempt to parody something because it's like they're just trying to talk about the most recent thing. But then you have all of these Zoomers who are just now getting into South Park, and they discover like the PC principal episodes, or like the PC police, or like the trans bathroom episodes, or the trans sports episodes, and they like see that and they assume this is South Park not doing satire, parodying a group of people they think is making a mountain out of a molehill, but, actually taking their side with things. One of the creators is Jewish, though. I'm sorry, but identity politics is never a good response to this person holds insert beliefs. I get it, but ooh, God, I just kicked my entire desk. But being Jewish does not preclude you from holding cringe political values, I promise. Regardless, my point here is that I feel like South Park, particularly to like the Zoomer generation and maybe a little bit older, like the younger end of millennials, led to this era of these nihilistic, I don't give a fuck, I'll fight to not care about anything generation. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? This little subgroup of nihilistic, I don't care about anything types. I feel like that's what caused this. Not entirely, but a large part of it. Yeah, radical centrism, radical edgelord satiric centrism. I don't know. Listen, I like South Park. There's a lot about South Park that I like. I would even call myself a South Park fan, but goddamn, it is very much not, it's not the kind of thing you should take any values from. And it's why I literally roll my eyes to the back of my head when they start playing the piano music and Stan starts saying, you know what, I learned something today. And the show tries to teach a lesson. I hate when South Park tries to teach a lesson. Because there are episodes, so many episodes, they don't try to teach a lesson. It's just satire, and there's the only reasonable lesson you could take from it, position you could take from the episode is a cruel nihilistic one that isn't good. That I don't think the creators intended for people to take that message from said episodes, right? But that's what ends up happening regardless, right? Because people do not know how to analyze media in any way, shape, or form. Or is it Kyle or Stan who does the I learned something today? I don't remember. Yeah, the South Park games go hard. Oh, it's Kyle. Okay, that's my bad. It's Stan? Okay, I'm getting mixed messages in chat now. God damn it. Alright, it's either Kyle or Stan. It's certainly not Kenny or Cartman. To be fair, I believe the show is a little self-aware of the fact later on, and they poke fun at the trope that they've imprisoned themselves into. I get that, but, alright. I will say, There was one episode of South Park that made me grin the entire episode, and it was the episode where they apologized to Al Gore. For those of you guys that I don't know why I can't speak today. It's been a little while. I'm a little rusty from streaming. For those of you guys that don't know, South Park did a episode back in the day that is a very famous and beloved South Park episode. The episode is called Man Bear Pig. The episode's about Al Gore. This is around the time when Al Gore was running for president. He was talking about how climate change and global warming are a big issue. It's about how Al Gore who is presented quite, you know, in a very unflattering way, to say the least, believes in this mythical creature called Man-Bear Pig, who doesn't exist, and he's freaking out about it, and he's trying to convince everyone that he's real. He's half man, half bear, and half pig. Which, of course, you can't be half of three things, so the joke is that even conceptually the thing that Al Gore is concerned about is a joke, or you know, isn't worth taking seriously. So South Park makes that episode, and they the very clear, like, message of it is that Al Gore is a joke, and that, it was years after he ran. Okay, thank you. Listen, I wasn't even born yet, guy. Or if I was born, I was barely sentient. The episode was very clearly meant to shit on Al Gore and meant to be on the side of climate change denialism, right? More recently, they released an episode that basically apologizes for this. Turns out Man-Bear Pig is real, he's terrorizing the city, and they have to find Al Gore because he's the only one who knows how to take down Man-Bear Pig. And when they find him, they're like, oh, how do we stop Man-Bear Pig? And he says, you stop him by listening to me all those years ago. That joke was fantastic. That joke was amazing. I liked that joke a lot. It was a line, not a joke, but it was a joke line, you know what I mean? That was pretty good. I liked that a lot. The episode where Mr. Garrison becomes Miss Garrison is horrendously transphobic too. Okay, I will say, the episode where Mrs. Garrison becomes Mr. Garrison again, though, the ending of it has a pretty based line, okay? There's a scene at the end where Mrs. Garrison has detransitioned and gotten his penis back and become Mr. Garrison again. And it's like the I learned something today moment of the episode. And Mr. Garrison says, I learned something today. Women are people who can have babies. And then, like, a guy steps out of the audience and says, my wife had ovarian cancer and, like, she can't have a child. She can't get pregnant. And Mr. Garrison looks at him and says, well, looks like you're an F-slur, or something like that. And the episode just smash cuts right there to the credits. I feel like that. Yeah. That was pretty good. That was pretty good, because it's inherently stupid to, like, try to narrow down the definition of woman to this, like, bizarre biological standard that conservatives have tried so desperately to narrow it down to. I'm crying remembering that. Thank you, Zan. It was pretty good. If you could look up that clip, definitely go watch it. I wish I could show it to you all, but I can't because I'll get copyrighted. Anyway, really, that's all I have to say. I like South Park, but God, has this, like, weird trend of nihilism, not giving a fuck about anything and being as pointlessly cruel as possible to try to come off as smart and above everyone else, done, like, a whole lot of damage to a whole lot of people. Ugh. How do you guys enjoy that segment? Did you enjoy this season of South Park? Is hilarious. I heard it's pretty good. Pretty funny, pretty good. Good to hear that. I think we've got time for one more segment today, honestly. I've been live for 3.5 hours. I don't know. It's 10:30. I feel like I could go a while longer. I feel like we could try to go for 8 segments, maybe 9. 9 segments would be ideal. I'd like to do 9 segments today. What has happened recently? Oh, Anna Kasparian. Good thinking, Cherry. You didn't put it in the document, though. Could you send me the relevant links? Let's just vibe for a minute and get stoned while Cherry sends me the relevant links. Yeah, the Cenk Uygur tweets, too. Thank you, Cherry. Cherry is based in Poggers. By the way, if you're watching right now and you're enjoying the stream and you want to support me, consider dropping a like over on YouTube. It helps a lot, and I really do appreciate it. It really does go a long way. Xanderhall, you're giving me pain watching you vape that menthol shit like it's so good. Like it's good. I mean, it's not good for me, the vape. No, this vape's definitely not good for me. This one's probably considerably less bad for me because it's just weed, but, you know. I cannot afford to go through nicotine withdrawals right now. Oh, chat. Guess what? I saw Mount Rainier for the first time the other day. I was going for a walk and I didn't even realize it, but I got to the top of a hill, and I'd gone to the top of that hill multiple times, but it was always on a really cloudy, rainy day because Seattle. I got to the top of that hill on a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, and I just kind of like looked over to my right and realized I had a perfectly clear view of this giant lumbering mountain in the distance capped with snow. I was like, that's Mount Rainier! Holy shit! And I finally saw it. It's a big mountain. It's just there, out there in the middle of nowhere. Just big, flat area around it. Just a big, protruding mountain. It's a volcano, too. If it ever erupts, I'll go outside and I'll start chanting, "Ooh, Dune." Nicotine Fuentes withdrawals. Good job, Cherry. Thank you. All right. Let me check Twitter notifications really fast. Okay, cool. There we go. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1. Action. All right, everybody. Unfortunately, this topic is kind of depressing, if I do say so myself. So, I'll admit that I've never been the biggest fan of the Young Turks. Like, I don't really watch the Young Turks in my free time. Sometimes if a particular video pops up in my recommended and they're discussing a topic that's particularly interesting to me, I'll give it a watch. But overall, I don't watch the Young Turks. I'm not a fan of the Young Turks. I generally think I agree with them on most things, right? And I don't, like, dislike them particularly. But overall, I've not, like, a big Young Turks guy. However, I have been aware of the fact that in the past, the Young Turks as a media group used to be a lot more conservative than they are now. Nowadays, they're known as almost pseudo-socialist, more like Bernie Sanders tier progressive, maybe a little more left-wing. But there was a time when the TYT crew were quite openly right-wing. Am I not wrong? I wasn't really around and into politics back then, but those of you guys who remember, do you, like, is that not true? Like, they were pretty right-wing back in the day, were they not? What? When? I've been watching since 2005 and they've always been left? Is that true? Because from my understanding, there's been drama somewhat recently about, like, Cenk Uyghur's positions. I think that was just Cenk. Interesting. Regardless, my understanding is that at the very least, some of the, like, hosts of TYT, which is what I mean when I say TYT, not the institution, the people there, have had some pretty cringe positions in the past. Hell, there's even those, hold on. Before we go over this, I have to show you the old Hassan Piker clips from the old TYT. I'm sorry I have to make you watch this, okay? Are you guys ready for Hasanabi bro tips? You're about to hear it from the Rizzler himself.
On On this week's Social Guru, we cover an old classic warhorse, the let's get out of here rule. This one's been passed on for centuries and helped even the Vikings get laid. I actually lost my virginity with this rule, by the way, I'm not gonna lie. So you're in the club, you finally use the 5-second rule because you're smart now, because you follow bro tip, and you start talking to this girl, it finally leads to hooking up, and you're bold enough to grab an ass cheek and then maybe even get some hand play downstairs. What is the next move? You need to get out of there, and you need to get out of there fast. Hopefully with the girl. So you have to use these 5 magic words. Let's get out of here. You might think, wait a minute, there's no way this is gonna work. Yes, it does. Let's get out of here. It's time to get out of there, and it's time to separate her from her herd, meaning her crowd of girlfriends that are going to do their best to cock block you because they're fat and lonely. If let's get out of here doesn't work, you exchange numbers, she leaves, you guys talk later. And you continue on your conquest for the rest of the night. If the let's get out of here does work, you have successfully left the club with a hot girl, hopefully, in the cab, and you're going to your place or her place. Now, once you're in a more intimate one-on-one situation, it's much easier to get things moving forward. If you hadn't played the finger fun already in the club, now is the time to utilize those magic fingers. Take her back to your house, show off that impressive vinyl collection that no one else gives a shit about, and go into town. Once you bring them back home, it doesn't matter how impressive your Spotify playlist is, or however many stamps you've collected in 21 years of virginity. The only thing that'll matter is your teacup pig. If you don't have that, it doesn't really matter what you have.
Okay, so this is a bit. I hope so. Maybe it's a bit, but let's just say Hassan doesn't react like it was a bit when people bring it up. Okay. That said, TYT, or at least some of the people involved with it, from my understanding, they've definitely had some cringier positions in the past when it comes to politics, which is fine. I used to be cringy in the past, right? But as far as I was aware, you know, the TYT host, generally speaking, held some pretty based and true-pilled beliefs nowadays, right? And I would never expect them any day to come out with some, like, anti-trans, culture war nonsense. Usually they're the ones arguing against it, and quite well from what I've seen. I don't watch them much, but, you know, generally speaking, they argue quite well. But Anna Kasparian, one of the hosts of TYT, one of the most well-known hosts of TYT, tweeted this, and it's pretty bad. I'm a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or person who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this shit. Now, before we get into the rest of the thread, and there is quite a bit to it, I want to say this right now. The reason why I think a lot of people who are in the trans community particularly would respond to this, especially with a betrayed manner, right? Feeling quite betrayed, is because this argument is dishonest, inherently speaking. And it's hard to imagine that Anna isn't smart enough to know that it is a dishonest argument. You see, no one is arguing that, like, women should be called birthing people or people with the uterus or what, people who menstruate or whatever the fuck. The people arguing that someone should be called that are trans men and AFAB non-binary people. Like, if you're having a discussion about, like, reproductive rights, for example, like, I feel like that's an issue where you don't just want to make it out to seem like it's just a woman's issue, because there are a lot of trans men and AFAB non-binary people and whatnot out there that also should have access to what a lot of people on the left would just call women's reproductive rights. Now, I would get if there was some phenomenon of, like, her being called a birthing person or something that was frustrating her, but, like, this doesn't really seem to be in reference to something specific. But anyway, Mike from the Humanist Report ends up replying to this bastedly. And wait, I didn't even realize the Humanist Report follows me. Oh. Yo! Okay, I didn't know that, but that improves my day a bit. Cool, that's awesome. What a based moment. Based moment! Mike from the Humanist Report is based? Let's go. All right. Mike responds, I respect you a lot, but this notion that the mere existence of trans-inclusive terms, rarely used in casual convos, somehow degrades women comes right out of the anti-LGBT trans war on women playbook. There's a reason why they're praising you for this. And that's why you could see the conservatives in the replies saying things like right twice a day, broken clock, or whatever. Hey, Mike, you're a guy who has no clue what it's like to have your reproductive freedom taken away. The people praising her are people who want to take away her reproductive freedom. The terms she's arguing against are terms meant to be inclusive to people who aren't women that also need those reproductive rights. This is the most, like, blatantly dishonest. This can't be an honest argument she's making. She's not this stupid. But consider what it's like to have the same lawyers who fail to protect our rights turn around and call us people with uteruses. It's not inclusive if cis women hate it. But it's meant to include not just cis women. How many people are actually referring to you using this language? It must be a lot for you to air this grievance in the middle of an international hate crusade against trans people. I'm sure Ben Shapiro is retweeting you because he supports your reproductive freedom, though. Thumbs up. It's used by many major institutions, ACLU, CDC, universities, and news agencies. Yes, in medical and academic settings and legal settings when it comes to fighting for people's rights. And prominent progressive figures like AOC, and the guilt by association charge is lazy and lame? Ben Shapiro is retweeting her. The shoe on head 2? Are we dealing with a shoe on head 2? Like, no one can be this stupid. No one can be this stupid. I have seen her argue against Ben Shapiro and those that like he supports too many times to believe that she thinks that, like, Ben Shapiro retweeting her is not a red flag, that what she said and believes is a problem. She also has reactionary stances on prison. Is that true? I heard that. Yeah, that's actually, I'm pretty sure that's true. It's not guilt by association. The point is far-right fascists are using your tweet for anti-trans propaganda purposes. There's no way you're not cognizant of this. I respect you, but this is really disappointing. I genuinely don't get it, actually. Did she reply to this? No. That's where the convo ends. Seems like that's where she stopped. But, guess who ends up jumping in? Guess who ends up jumping in? Sank Weiger jumps in and says, are people really pretending that people who menstruate is a term only used in clinical settings? AOC uses it and she doesn't appear to be a doctor. If we all have agreement that it's not what you should call a woman in non-clinical settings, great, deal. Let America rejoice. Do you notice how much the goalpost has moved here, by the way? People were replying like, hey, why did you post this? This is like a weird dog whistle that conservatives post, and you posted it in the midst of an anti-trans hate campaign that's like nationwide, or multinational hate campaign, and there's really no honest interpretation of what you said that could lead me to believe you're not doing this to try to get the praise of conservatives, which they're doing, and when I point that out, you get upset and defensive. So the goalpost has moved quite a bit to now, like, are we really going to pretend that people who menstruate is a term only used in clinical settings? What? No. No one said it's only used in clinical settings. People said it's stupid to get mad about this because, one, it doesn't matter, and two, because it's a term that makes discussions about reproductive rights, both medically, legally, and academically, more inclusive to include people who it applies to that are not women. Because if you don't do this, then you're implying that, like, if you say that abortion is a women's issue, it's implying you either don't care about trans men who need to have access to it, having access to it, or you think trans men are women. That's the implication, right? As a matter of fact, this person responded quite well. So you're saying trans men are women because they menstruate or give birth? Or because they menstruate or give birth? You don't understand how that's transphobic? I'm not saying that at all. I think if you want me to say that so you can be angry about it. Oh, I think you want me to say that so you can be angry about it. Go ahead, I give you permission, be angry. So a non-response, basically. He literally got pinned exactly, like, on what he's saying. Like, it's exactly what he's claiming and the implication. And that's a non-argument in response to it. So I think he got. This is really disappointing to see. During a time where the Overton window of the internet has moved so far to the right, to see some of the largest, like, left-wing platform having people saying shit and doing shit like this, and doubling down as well, is really frustrating. I expect this out of Shoeonhead, but not from the hosts of, like, fucking TYT. Jesus Christ. Ugh. What do you guys think of that segment? Ugh. I don't know why. I think I'm having indigestion. I'm getting all phlegmy. Yeah, Cenk was a denier of the Armenian genocide until he got grilled by Chris Cuomo. Yeah, I heard about that. Yep. Funny tweet. What is this? I have to.
My life is like a video game, trying hard to beat the stage, all while I am still collecting coins. Trying hard to save the girl, obstacles I'm jumping.
I'm sorry you had to experience that, chat. I'm so sorry. You had to see it. If I had to see it, so did you. That's how things work here. This is something that I have seen out of people online with mostly good takes, but one thing that they are too stubborn on makes them either cringe or be jerks. I have seen it so many times over the years. Yeah, I guess that's true, but that's not very compelling here, considering the fact that, like, I can't even imagine why she'd tweet it in the fucking first place. Hell yeah, I just burped and it was great. Y'all ever burp and it just makes you feel better? And it puts a smile on your face? I hope that happens to all of you. I hope you all have, like, a massive burp while you're watching, and it just makes you happy, because you feel better afterwards. That's what I wish upon you. Or a fart, if you feel like you need that, too. Whatever it may be. That's what I'm praying for you guys to have. Heavy Gretel, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Hobo Sapiens. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm sure Hobo Sapiens appreciates the gifted sub. Thank you for the $5. It helps a lot. Let me check for off-site donos. None so far. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys want to buy merch, there is a link down in the description of the stream on YouTube if you want to pick some up. It's pretty reasonably priced, so, you know, even if you don't plan to buy any, might as well check it out. Alrighty, everybody. How many segments have we done? Six segments. Oh, I want so badly to do 9 today, but I got so much indigestion right now that, like, or indigestion? Is that the term? No, congestion. I've got so much congestion right now in my nose. That's not the term. Congestion in my nose that it's, like, hard to talk. So I think here's where I'm gonna have to end things. I think we're gonna have to wrap things up here, guys. Just had that burp as you said it. Perfect. I'm really glad that you guys are burping now. I have literally done that with my own brain power. I have prayed for you, and now God is allowing you to burp. I don't know. I'm stoned, and I'm also congested. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching. Today's stream has been a lot of fun. It's been really nice being back to see you guys again. I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow because me and my mom want to explore Seattle a bit before, like, you know, leaving. And, well, she's got to leave. I'll stay, but, you know, she wants to be able to see Seattle, and I want to see it with her since, you know, it's an excuse to get out and see some cool stuff in a city I've never been to before. And, yeah, we might go to... Should I say where we're going tomorrow? I feel like that wouldn't be a good idea. I feel like that wouldn't be a good idea. No, don't. Yeah, good idea. Anyway, not the needle, though. I'm not going to the Space Needle. I'm not going to the Space Needle. I'm not going to the Space Needle. All right? I'm not going there. Not going there. Anyway, we're going to explore Seattle a little bit tomorrow, and it's going to be real fun. We'll be doing 3 uploads tomorrow as usual, and then the day after tomorrow, I want to get onto a very good grind streak of streams. Probably, I think, 2 streams. The way I'm thinking I'm going to do things are going to be 2, like, imagine a calendar, right? Monday, I stream. Tuesday, I stream. Wednesday, I take off. Thursday, I stream. Friday, I stream. And then Saturday, I take off. And then Sunday, I stream. Monday, I stream. Tuesday, etc., right? And then I do a chunk of 3 days where I work. I think that's a very effective way to break up my my stream schedule. That's not the exact, like, layout it's going to go by, like, by the day. But, like, that's how I'm going to do it in terms of order. Does that make sense? Also, have you beaten Dead Space? Are you going to finish it on stream? I have not played any of it. I'm going to be playing more of it on stream. Or finishing it on stream, yes. That'll be what I play next time. Unless it ends up being Minecraft. It could end up being Minecraft next time. We'll see. Anyway, guys. I really appreciate you all watching. Thank you so much for your support. You are all goddamn amazing. I love you all so much. And with all that said, as always, have a good one.